Joshua,
Joshua.
we are back for part 2 review of One Piece.
This time we are talking post time skip.
Yes, sir.
This
We
time
are.
there are less arcs, so we'll be going a bit more in detail. But hopefully we won't make it too terribly long. We actually are starting with the return to the Sabaody Archipelagos after the 2-year time skip. Meeting good old Buff Usopp. Nami gets her titty upgrade.
Yep.
Frankie, actual cyborg. Zoro loses an eye. Poor Sanji's been on a island with.
Running away from.
That's a horrible time. Poor Sanji. And Luffy shows up having massive gains, obviously. We really get to see him show off, get to see him take out the exact same pacifistas that beat his ass 2 years prior.
Which is
And
just
with
a nice little flip of the script. I like to see that.
with practical ease at that. That's a nice thing to see. But we get the fake straw hats. Nothing really too important here. They kind of take care of them with low difficulty.
I say it just shows you how much Luffy has really got his name out there. That people are impersonating him, and it's a whole thing.
The entirety of Fishman Island is really just a show you what these guys are now capable of arc. And it starts with the Sabaody Archipelago. So this is really just them reuniting. Eventually, they get on their undersea trip down to Fishman Island. Luffy can now hear Sea Kings talk, which is a very interesting thing.
That'll come into play later. He meets the fish princess who can also talk to Sea Kings.
Yep. They arrive on Fishman Island, meet Shirahoshi, the princess who can crybaby princess who can talk to Sea Kings. Sanji has a breakdown every episode from seeing all the mermaids.
Hey man.
But I mean,
hey man.
After being stuck on an island with nothing but dudes for a while, I mean that's probably gonna happen.
Dudes try to make you put a dress on the whole time.
Really, the importance we get out of Fishman Island, we get Jinbei's backstory, we get the Sun Pirates backstory, stuff about Fisher Tiger, that kind of thing. We finally learn some stuff about Joy Boy. We get his apology note in the form of a poneglyph. We learn about the 3 mass weapons of Pluton, Poseidon, and Uranus. Yeah. Uranus still has not been mentioned again since. We learned Poseidon is actually the power that Shirahoshi possesses of being able to speak to Sea Kings.
Few generations, yeah.
Every couple, whatever, what was it, 30,000, every
millennium,
some kind of thousands of years, one mermaid princess is born with these powers.
Speak with / control Sea King.
And of course, it's going to be the one in Luffy's generation because Luffy befriends her, of course, per typical Luffy. And another main takeaway here was Shirahoshi's mother was trying to get them to attend the reverie, which is the king's meeting basically on land.
All the lesser kings.
And she's just trying to, in an attempt to bring the Fishman back to the surface.
And you got to see that not only in this arc, it was nice that you got to see not only humans don't want Fishman up there. A lot of the Fishmen didn't want to go up there because of the shit that they heard about humans and slavery and all this other ignorance that was going on.
And this is why Luffy coming here actually is a very huge thing for them because Luffy changes their perspective on a lot of things.
Yeah. But it was nice to see them get a new perspective on what humans could be like through the Straw Hats.
Yeah, they really showed them that they can, not all humans are the same. Just as their former queen used to tell them, not all humans are this. They won't all treat you like that.
Yeah, just like not all fishermen are the same.
Like, because they were hugely discouraged when the Celestial Dragon came down and was treating them all like garbage. When they tried to assassinate him, the queen took the bullet and she died instead.
Otohime.
She was and in the end, all she wanted to do was for them not to hate each other. But this made a big dent in the Celestial Dragon's feelings towards the Fishmen and his demeanor overall, which we'll see here. little bit later when the Reverie comes around. But the main antagonist of this arc was the Fishman who shot Queen Otahime. Kind of a piece of shit. He looked up to Arlong's ideals.
Yeah.
Fucking Arlong.
Turns out in the end, he did that shit on purpose.
Luffy hits Red Hawk for the first time, which is a great scene.
Beautiful.
Huge paying homage to Ace. I love Ace. The man was just great storytelling. Great moment for him.
He was the Itachi of this show. You didn't get to see too much of him, but you know you love that nigga.
You know you
love that nigga. It's just fantastic. So Ace was one of them. And the Red Hawk, like you said, is an homage to him, and that shit was beautiful.
That shit was beautiful.
Every time we pull that bitch out, that shit is beautiful.
I love it. I'm glad that it became a regular thing in his arsenal now. During this arc, Luffy officially asked Jinbei to join his crew, as when
that shit was hype.
Because during this, there's a big fight that goes down. Luffy has a big feat here of knocking out 50,000 people with Conqueror's Haki, which is fucking impressive. But during, his exchange, his final exchange where he uses Red Hawk, he does get injured, and there's a big voodoo among the fishmen to not give blood. Jinbei does so, and that hence Luffy asked him to join his crew.
Which Jinbei
responds with, "I will, but I can't at this current time. Yeah, after I finish my current obligations, I will happily join you."
Which made for an interesting surprise.
We'll get to very shortly. During this, as thanks for saving them, the king gives him a whole bunch of treasure, all the treasure they have, basically, which includes their long-held treasure box, which comes into play very soon. The main thing that comes into play at the end of this arc is you find out Fishman Island is under the protection of the Big Mom pirates. One of her sweets factory that was stationed there was destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Two of her people come and try to collect said treats. Unfortunately for them, it was just destroyed, obviously.
Yeah, not
getting
that. You're not getting that at all.
Luffy looked him in the face and was like, "Look, I ate it." And they were like, "Well, that's a problem." And he was like, "Well, look, King Dude just gave me all this treasure right here.
I'm pretty sure that'll pay for
I'm pretty sure that'll cover it." And he's like, "Eh." And as he says that, Big Mom gives him a call. He's talking to him. Luffy snatches that bitch and is like, "Look, Big Mom, I ate all your candy, but I got a bunch of gold here for you.
Take
it, and we'll call it even." And she's like, "I don't like the way you're talking to me."
She was having none of that.
Yeah, I don't like the way you're talking to me. And he's like, "Well, how about this? I'm on my way to the New World right now. I'll pull up and I'll beat your ass."
Period.
Click.
I was like, "Oh God, Luffy, what have you done, bro? What?"
Sorry. He said, "I'm gonna kick your ass, and then Fishman Island will be mine."
Yeah, he said, "I'm gonna put this whole bitch under my protection."
Yeah, my protection, because I like these guys.
That's fantastic.
And then they get ready to set out for the New World. So, all in all, even though it wasn't a super exciting arc overall, it planted a lot of seeds for a lot of the future arcs that come around very shortly, and even in the near future.
But it did drag. So as far as ratings go,
6 for me.
6 across the board. That's about it. It was great arc.
The setup was great. The sea planning was great. There were a couple of great moments.
Couple of good,
but as far as the overall, feeling of the arc, it
dragged a little.
It was way too long for it just to be a look what these guys can do now that they're stronger arc. We move straight on to the Dressrosa arc with them arriving at Punk Hazard.
That was just
Punk Hazard is honestly I fucking love Punk Hazard. A lot of people don't like it. I think it's fucking amazing.
Yep. It was the island of Punk Hazard itself is the leftover battle of Akainu and Aokiji, the lava dude and the ice dude, the admirals, and they duked it out for days on this island. It used to be a tropical paradise. Now half of it's ice and half of it's lava.
Tropical paradise. They took a fight over Fleet Admiral here. And for a 5-day span, and now it's just a half ice, half lava wasteland. And it is a home to experimental scientist Caesar.
That's another thing. Niggas in this show can fight for days on end
Days
casually.
on end.
That is
That
something
is
to
a
think
thing in the
about.
show.
God,
That is some good endurance. I will say that the
man,
characters in this show definitely have endurance and durability like crazy.
like none of
It is definitely very impressive. But yeah, this Punk Hazard is the home to the scientist Caesar. This is basically the experimental island of this whole verse.
it.
They come across a mechanical dragon that contains legs of who we later find out is Kinemon. Love Kinemon.
They
Um,
had to find this nigga like Blue's Clues
yeah,
and put
they
him
they
together like
eventually
a
find
puzzle.
his head. He's in pieces thanks to courtesy of Law. You know, Law's always fucking with people. He's punching people's hearts out in this arc and
Man, who you
making
immediately
them
found
swap
out
bodies,
was
making
a
them swap
little bit of a
bodies.
dick. I thought Law was gonna be cool, but he a little bit of a dick bag, bro. Just a little bit. I still love him.
Oh, I love
I
Law.
still love him to death, but he a little bit of a
It
dick,
actually made me
bro.
love him a little bit more, just because like now he's punching people's hearts out. He's playing.
Shambles.
He's literally playing games with people's hearts, and then he's swapping people's bodies.
Oh, yep. And just for the pure fan service, you know the two people who's gonna show off the body is the most smoker, the
Yeah,
chillest nigga
he
ever.
smoked. He swapped Smoker into Shigi, and he popped that top button out to let her titties come out. And then you had Nami and Sanji swap. So Sanji was constantly trying to. And he, even on their way, my favorite thing was on their way out of the cave. He was looking at Brooke was like, "Hey, Sanji, you think you would let me see your panties?"
He was like,
And
yeah.
Sanji was like, "Yeah, sure."
And then-
Nami turns. This is the most evil shit ever. Nami turns around. Hey, Zoro, go with them. Zoro's like,
Pure
what?
evil,
Zoro's like,
bro.
why? I don't want to go with him. And Zoro's like, well, whatever, he's fine. Zoro goes with him, and Chopper's like, why? Why'd you send Zoro with him? He's like, because if Zoro's with them, they'll be too busy arguing to be pervert on my body.
And that's exactly
They
what
pan
happened,
screen
bro.
and they're immediately arguing. Nami is literally the evilest protagonist in any fucking series ever, and it's crazy.
This bitch is
She is
to the
pure
max, bro.
evil, like, evil to the bone.
Sinister, bro.
I swear, the way she be fucking manhandling Zeus has me rolling every time. But
we'll get there.
we'll get there. Body swapping. Caesar's experimenting on kids, trying to gigantify them for reasons we will find out later. So, mass producing what are called smile fruits for Doflamingo. Artificial devil fruits for the warlord Don Quixote Doflamingo, going by the alias Joker, because he is basically running the underworld, pulling all the strings anyway. Anyway, Law's big plan here is to form an alliance with Luffy.
Bad idea.
Which he finds out later is definitely a bad idea, because an alliance with Luffy is not really an alliance with Luffy.
Nope.
It's just that you're going to follow Luffy's lead now. Luffy does whatever the fuck he wants.
He didn't think that they was about to be friends after this. No, bitch, we're friends.
Yeah, Luffy, whether you want to be my friend or not, bitch, you're my friend. So his plan is to team up with Luffy, form an alliance, and then kidnap Caesar in order to strong-arm Doflamingo. And, I mean, long story short, they succeed. Luffy
It looked like they succeeded.
socks the shit out of Caesar hard as fuck.
Sent them through.
Although Doflamingo was predicting this, so he did send two henchmen to Punk Hazard in order to attempt to not allow this to happen. However, those henchmen were met by Frankie and then by others, so their plan failed, obviously. Law separated their heads from their bodies, put their head on a little raft with a transponder snail, and shipped them boys off to sea.
This is where shit gets real.
And this is where shit gets real. Because this is, I would consider technically Punk Hazard an arc on its own, but it is considered part of the Dressrosa arc. So, this point right here is what I would consider the official start of the Dressrosa arc. Because Doflamingo discovers said heads on the raft of his henchmen.
And then, bring, 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 bring.
Sure enough, transponder snail rings. Who's on the other end? Good old buddy Trafalgar Law. He says, "Hey, buddy, you see your henchmen's heads there, huh? Well, I also got something else of yours. It's your good buddy Caesar, who's producing all those devil fruits for you.
I kidnapped that.
He's like, I know you're working for Kaido, and Kaido will be pretty pissed if you can't make him any more devil fruits. So how about you start playing my game? Doflamingo sits there for a second.
Realizing Caesar.
He asks a question. He's like, "Hey, where are my henchmen bodies?" He's like, "I'll let you figure that out on your own." He's like, "All right." Sits there for a second. He just cracks a fat ass smile and he says, "Okay, Law, name your terms." Law says, "All right, I need to see in the paper tomorrow morning that you resigned as a warlord." Click.
That's the end of that conversation.
And Doflamingo sits there. It's like, okay. He obviously goes and gets his henchmen's bodies back, gets them pieced back together.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, next day, Law gets the newspaper. Don Quixote Doflamingo retires as warlord. Celebrations galore on the Sunny. And Dressrosa, you have panic. You have people outside. People outside his building. Why? Why would you retire? Why would you do this?
From the government. No!
Why? So now, Law being all cocky and confident, gives Doflamingo another call, basically saying, get ready, we coming for you. Long story short.
He was like, "It's cool. I'm retired. Come on."
Yeah.
He's like, "We about to come make this trade off of Caesar."
It's cool. I'll give you Caesar back, and we'll call it good. So Doflamingo's like, "Yeah, no problem. Bring them on back to me." And as soon as the Sunny docks, they get another newspaper. Newspaper from this morning, fake. Don Quixote Doflamingo still warlord.
Man.
Immediately,
you goofed ass.
Immediately, they all realized this was we done fucked up.
No.
But then again, nobody could have predicted that somebody could literally fake a newspaper worldwide.
Considering definitely the fact that they deliver their news in this verse by carrier pigeon, bro.
So it's not very easy to distribute one newspaper worldwide, but two newspapers worldwide. A fake one, and then the real one to say that the other one was a fake.
What? That's friends in high places to the max.
That is already just telling you he has connections.
That right there, that moment established this nigga has the drip of the gods.
Drip.
This established this nigga as the most not giving a fuck ass motherfucker in all of anime, bro. I swear to God.
This man is drippy. This man is menacing. This man has connections in high places. This man is running the underworld.
All of it. He's literally doing all of it.
Don Quixote Doflamingo is also a badass fucking name.
It's a motherfucking mouthful.
He is
say it every time.
He is the greatest villain in One Piece to date. Hands down. He may not be the strongest, I'll give you that. But he is the best.
He was the motherfucking man. Oh my God.
Dressrosa, a lot happens here. Law goes for the trade-off, and it does not go well. Doflamingo shows up. They get into a brawl. Fujitoro shows up. It turns into a three-way. Shit just hits the fan. It just does not go well.
Really.
Doflamingo obviously makes his escape. No biggie.
Mm-hmm. Now we ready to get the arc in motion.
They send half of the crew onward to the next island destination of Zou, which we will cover later. Mm-hmm. A handful of people stay behind, that being Usopp, Robin, Frankie, Luffy, Law.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that is all. And so Usopp and Robin befriend little people called the Tontatas. Leo and the rest of the Tontatas, they meet them and befriend them and learn of the great history of,
Dressrosa.
Dressrosa
is the country that is extravagant and beautiful, and on the surface there are no
On
problems.
the surface, there are no flaws.
But this is the rottenest onion you ever done been in. Because, bro, there are so many
Shit
layers.
gets so real.
So quickly.
Luffy enters a tournament in disguise. As he goes to write his name, Frankie says, "All right, we're being discreet, so enter under a fake name. L-U." I said enter under a fake name. So writes Lucy. So he goes enter the tournament under Lucy. That goes on pretty much the majority of this arc. That's like the main event that's happening for the majority of the story.
For the most part, until he gets to fight Don Quixote, Doflamingo.
Fuck.
And then while the tournament is going on, they sent Frankie to destroy the Smile Factory.
Correct.
Then
take out the factory, creating said artificial devil fruit.
When Usopp and Robin went through the forest, they fucked around and got kidnapped by the little Tontatas.
Yep.
Then they ended up making friends with them. And then they found out that the Tontatas had been planning against Doflamingo. And so they was like, fuck it, we on the same team.
Because they have captured the Princess Tontata.
Yep.
And is using her ability for themselves and such.
Then, yeah, all that shit basically comes to a head. And
is it crazy that even though Zoro's in this arc, I don't really remember a lot of what he does during the main part of this arc?
With some of the Tontatas. But
yeah, he
kept getting lost in the dude
that's
trying to redirect him.
That's right. That's why. Stop before you even say anything else. I remember why. I don't remember why Zoro did much. Because he spent 75% of this arc lost walking in circles.
Literally.
I fucking forgot about that. Yeah. Because he found one of the Tontatas, and he literally...
they stole his sword. They stole his sword.
And he spent the whole time. He found one. He spent the whole arc trying to find his swords with this bitch on his shoulder. No, you're supposed to go that way. You're supposed to go that way. Why are you going this way? And then he dropped her off and was like, all right, bitch, fuck you. Walked away. 3 seconds later, he's walking on screen. She's like, what? How did you get lost that fast? You just walked that direction. I remember now. I literally spent the last 10 minutes while we were making this video. Why can I know Zoro's on Dressrosa. What did he do?
I just didn't think that's what we're talking about because he literally
was lost. I just forgot. He was lost the whole time. That's why I couldn't remember him.
Actually had a good sense of direction.
That's why,
and still managed to.
That's why when we were just naming all the people who were in it, I stopped and I was like, I swear there's one more. It was fucking Zoro. It's just he was fucking lost. He was lost the whole time.
I'm mad as fucking Zoro about that still.
Now it makes so much more sense. I'm pissed that I literally forgot because of that. Anyway, Frankie goes on to attempt to destroy the Smile Factory. Usopp and Robin team up with the Tontatas, and they go after the weapons factory.
Mm-hmm.
And the dock of which they ship out said Smile and weapons. Luffy meets Rebecca. We'll start there. Luffy meets Rebecca, and they see the statue of a former gladiator named Kyros, who was undefeated in the ring, and yet nobody seems to remember him. 3,000 matches, 0 defeats. Nobody seems to remember him, despite him being a legend of the ring. Lucy goes on to win every round of this tournament. Victor getting the flame fruit. Mm-hmm. The very fruit that Ace had before he was killed. All because Doflamingo got his grimy hands on it after his death, and he's like, I don't know what'll keep you occupied fighting this tournament for your brother's fruit.
Yeah, that was way back in Punk Hazard when he got the car. He was like, Luffy, I got something that'll really interest you. And Luffy the whole time was like, what? He's like, what is it?
At first, the whole time, he's like, I wonder if it's meat. I wonder if it's a giant thing of meat. And then he finally gets there, and he sees the flame fruit, and literally everything else slips his mind.
I'm sick as fuck. Yeah, he's like, I need that flare fruit. And I'm like, bruh, what happened to all the meat, though?
Literally. At one, Burgess from Blackbeard's crew is also taking part in the tournament. Jesus, Cavendish, was also taking part in the tournament.
Bartolomeo, who you ended up finding out is the
Bartolomeo,
biggest fanboy,
the
bro.
biggest fanboy for
This
Luffy.
one hurt my
Hilarious.
soul.
I thought it was
he was
hilarious.
about to be a super menace at first.
Thought it was
He
hilarious.
was all fucking
pissing
fuck
out,
you, yeah,
pissing out in the
outside
fucking
and
ring.
shit. And then as soon as he saw that Lucy was Luffy, he was like,
I'm your biggest fan.
And,
Yeah,
oh my god,
immediate
This
fanboy.
is fantastic.
But moving on through the tournament, about halfway through the tournament, Luffy gets an unexpected guest, and we get the return of fan favorite Sabo. Great, heart-touching reunion.
Man, that shit fucked me up.
That moment he shared with Sabo was so fucking amazing.
He was like, I got a brother again.
Like, he thought he had no brothers left, and the hug, the embrace, and just the tears. The moment was real.
That shit was real as hell.
It said Sabo takes over the alias of Lucy and goes on to win the tournament and becomes Fire Fist Sabo in memory of our boy Porcus D. Ace.
Moment of silence. All right.
Then really, this is when shit hits the fan. I mean, they end up destroying the Smile Factory. They end up destroying the weapons factory. They take out the docks. You find out that these toys that were supposedly happily living amongst the people were actually slaves that were formerly people that Doflamingo had turned into toys to help ship out and keep his black market running.
The whole of Dressrosa was a artificial devil fruit / weapons factory. That was the whole point of that country before Luffy came.
Using all these toys as the slave laborers. Usopp and Robin succeed in freeing the toys and destroying the dock / factory. At this point, Don Quixote Doflamingo realizes that this is now a problem, and he puts up the bird cage. The bird cage, this is when
indestructible string.
Yeah, he puts a string, literal bird cage of string around the island, around the city.
They was trying to cut it through
it slowly just closes until everything is sliced to nothingness.
And the whole concept was fucked.
So the only person who had ever seen this before was Trafalgar Law, and this man was having basically a full-blown panic attack at this point.
PTSD.
We get his whole backstory, which was fucking very, very sad.
Bro.
Very, very sad.
Super sad. You find out that he is a D.
He is also
D Law.
Trafalgar D Water Law.
Trafalgar D.
Basically, he comes from a city where they get a very rare disease because of the stone that they were producing,
and it turns everybody white, and that's how people who aren't from said island can tell who is from said island.
Right, they have this rare skin disease, and it's extremely, extremely deadly. So Law watches his family get killed, has forced to leave his city because obviously everybody felt this city was a problem. So what happened? They get destroyed. So Law escapes the city with said disease. He comes across the Doflamingo family.
Hateful little shit as a kid.
He is a hateful little shit. I mean, watching his sister die, watching his family die, being the last person alive.
That shit was fun.
He makes it out. He comes across the Doflamingo family, and they take him in because Doflamingo sees himself in him as a child, basically.
A little bit.
Because Doflamingo also had a fuck backstory. He killed his dad because he turned down he basically gave up their celestial dragon ship. And that's something you could never get back once given up, even though he severely tried.
They tried. They got tortured on the top of a building one day, and after they got down, this nigga called the celestial dragons and was like, please, I'm sorry. I know I can't
pulled up with his dad's head. And they still did not let him back in. But they take in Law, and Law becomes extremely close with Doflamingo's brother, Gordozone. And that's this real sad part of the story. That's why Law really hates this man, because Gordozone basically becomes like a elderly brother, father figure for Law. And he actually even gets to a point where he helps Law because Doflamingo is after the fruit of the OPOP fruit.
Yeah,
As we
I
now
like
already know, that is the fruit that Law has. And that is all because of cortisone. He made sure Law got the fruit so that Law could survive his disease. And also, thus, Doflamingo found out his brother was a traitor working for the Navy, and he killed
murdered
him
that man.
right in front of Law.
Murdered that man, bro. I'm sick.
So their whole
That
backstory
shit
is
sick as
tragic.
hell. And I love the Doflamingo's attitude about it. This nigga said, I have seen heaven and I have seen hell. You and I are built different. He was running around telling niggas that for real. We are built different, bro. I love it.
And that's the thing about Doflamingo and what makes him so great is he may do some fucking horrible things, but the way that he looks at it and the way that he perceives it and the way that he thinks makes you as a viewer rethink so many things and just think about things in completely different ways than you normally would. And that's what makes a great fucking villain. Anyway, so he's bringing in the birdcage now, back in real time. Everybody's on the outskirts trying to stop it, and basically he turns this into a game. He said, "Listen, there's some people causing me nuisances. I need you to capture and kill them, and then I'll let you leave this birdcage." Start putting bounties on these people's heads.
And
Labeled, this is the best thing because the person who destroyed the factory and took the blame for it all got labeled God Usopp. 500 million berries.
Bruh.
God
I remember seeing the episode name. God Usopp, 500 million berry bounty. I said, what? Huh? Usopp? Mr. I ran away from everything. Usopp?
Listen, I told you this yesterday, and I mean this with all of my soul. If it is not a fight, you need a clutch man. You will bring me God Usopp.
I remember that.
If it's not a fight, but if you need clutch for anything that's literally not a fight. If it's a fight, bring Zoro. If it's not a fight, Usopp. 100% every time. Destroy the factory, save the toys. He's popping shit, popping off the shots. Usopp, clutch master. God Usopp. This is when we actually start to get to the actual fights of this arc. Doflamingo takes on Law and Luffy.
Law, the disrespect.
It was
Law.
It was pretty bad though. Law got pretty fucking bodied.
Yes.
Luffy had to fight Bellamy and a clone of Dofi at the same time. So meanwhile, Law was fighting the real Dofi, and Law got a stab in with his little electro knife,
which was cool.
Which was honestly clutch because had he not done that,
Dofi would have fucked Luffy up.
Yeah, Luffy probably still would have lost.
Because he was literally trying to heal that wound
during the fight. Yeah, the whole rest of the arc. Yeah, the electro knife by Law was dangerous, so he got him with a good one.
Meanwhile, he liked this. I did not. Fuck you for this. Meanwhile, Luffy is back to not hitting people who are literally trying to kill him in Bellamy. And he's trying to talk no jutsu this man.
He's just trying to be like, Bellamy, listen, you fuck. He was going to give him the same thing that Law didn't want to understand. Even though you're not my friend, I'm your friend, bitch. Whether you want to be or not. You can hit me, and you can hit me, and you can hit me, but bitch, I'm still your friend. And that's why I love Luffy, because like he knows when he needs to take an ass beating. So he's like, yeah, I'll fight this fake Dofi, but you, I'm not touching you until you realize I'm your friend, bitch. Period.
Couldn't have been me. Couldn't have been me.
I am your friend.
That is
period. Fair. End of story. But anyway, gets through Bellamy, gets through the fake Dofi. Now it's finally time for the big showdown. Yeah, Luffy versus Doflamingo.
That was a good ass.
Was this a good ass fight?
That was a good ass fight.
Good ass fight. We already got Doflamingo injured.
Mm-hmm.
This man is still talking shit. Luffy going second gear, third gear. Doflamingo casually smacking.
Both of them.
Smacking. Like, while he's still trying to heal his own wound with his fucking ability. At this point, he shows off his fucking awakening. He's
this is where we got to find out about Devil Fruit Awakening.
This is when we find out about Devil Fruit Awakening. We find he explains, he's like, my awakening lets me turn not only can I create strings and not only can I manipulate strings, now everything that I touch
is string
becomes strings.
Bruh.
Everything.
Bruh.
String. And he's literally, I can heal myself with strings. I'm replacing my organs with strings.
Bruh. This shit was like putting Luffy in the Matrix with the way he was controlling everything around them, bro. That shit was fucking me up.
He was just, I mean, it doesn't matter what Luffy did, whatever. Nah. But he uses second gear, uses third gear, uses his Grizzly Magnums, uses his literally everything in the playbook. And Doflamingo is just casually fucking no diffing him. All the way up until we finally get the true unveiling of Gear 4. Bounce Man.
That shit was nuts.
Or Sub-Bound Man, however you want to pronounce it.
Bounce Man.
Bounce Man.
Bouncy Man. That's it. Bouncy boy.
And
nuts.
As soon as he turned into the Bounce Man, it did start tipping the scales a bit more.
This nigga looked Doflamingo in the face and said, "You can't fuck with me in this form."
And that's the crazy part, though, because even though he said that, Doflamingo was still fucking with him in fourth gear. Like I said, he started pulling out his attacks, and then he had a flashback to Rayleigh telling him, "Well, what are you gonna do when that's not enough?" Yeah, remember, this is a very short-term transformation. You can't use this.
He had 10 minutes.
You have 10 minutes. You can't. You can't use this form for an extended period of time. The way that you use your hockey in this form,
too much.
You're literally just
running.
You're fucking just You're just unnecessarily straining yourself in hockey
mode the whole time.
And so I mean, granted, his final shot, obviously, he gets the final good shot in, and he gets the dub victory over a good
strings and shit.
Through all the strings, through his fucking, I'm gonna bounce my arm fucking a million times.
Hey man, niggas be dodging.
But I'll bounce it off of whatever I need to until I hit your bitch ass.
Period.
He gets the final hit in. Doflamingo is TKO'd.
Dunsky.
And this is the part that's great. Even as they're locking him up, getting ready to throw his ass in jail, he's you fools don't understand.
Never lost that smile.
He said, I am the key holding the gates of darkness back, basically. Like, once you get rid of me, you will be unleashing all of that darkness onto the world.
You thought I was bad?
Yeah, you think I'm bad?
Just wait.
I'm just scratching the surface.
Bruh.
Like, who do you think I'm supplying all of these things to? Who do you think I'm working for?
Yeah, it's fucked up because we definitely passed episode 600. I'm like,
yeah,
there can't be nobody out there that much worse than this, man. What are you talking about?
That's what we thought at that time.
That's what we fucking thought.
But no, shit got so real. But we get towards the end of this arc, and this is the end of this arc is when Fuji Tora became the fucking GOAT.
The GOAT.
The
GOAT.
This man was rolling dice trying to decide if he was going to capture Luffy.
Yeah, because he didn't like the orders that the Navy gave him. Because as soon as this man popped up in Dressrosa way back, he made friends with Luffy a little bit because he was getting scammed. He's blind. He's the literal personification of justice.
Yeah, he's blind.
So he was getting scammed.
At a
gambling house. They was all lying to him. And this nigga Luffy told the truth. And was like, dude, you fucking won. Take your money. And he's like, oh, really?
And
he's like, thank you.
Yeah, and they hit it off immediately.
So the whole time, this nigga has the best actual sense of justice of anyone in the Navy.
Out of anybody in the Navy, there's a very select few that have a good actual sense of justice.
Him, Garp.
And Aokiji, who is no longer with the Navy.
Literally.
So
just him and Garp now. So while the whole address was going on, he was peeping shit. And he
understood immediately after arriving in Dressrosa that Doflamingo was a fucking problem.
And the Navy put him in power. So he knew that.
Because from the very beginning, he has been completely against this warlord system that allows pirates to be backed by the Navy, especially in a situation like this, as we get to see what probably one of my favorite scenes in the entire series, when him and Akainu have a transponder snail chat, and Akainu tries to tell him, you cost the Navy so much face today. Fujitora, the realest man ever,
Realest
said,
nigga.
if you are that concerned about keeping face, then you should try a little harder to keep it clean already.
Man.
Like he said, you put this man in a position of power, and he made people suffer, and you're gonna try to cover that up. That is bullshit. And he just laid it to him fucking straight.
Love it.
And that was one of the greatest moments out of any Navy person in the entire series. Fujitora laid into fucking Fleet Admiral Akainu. Like, most people it's the other way around. Akainu's rolling heads.
Yeah,
but
nah.
Fujitora is like, listen, you're not about to fucking tell me how to be an admiral. Like, bitch, you brought me in. I'm gonna fucking tell you how I'm gonna be an admiral.
Period. Don't fuck about none of them.
So overall, I just think Fujitora was a fucking great thing. Mm-hmm. Overall, there were a lot of great moments, character moments, development moments. Like, I totally skipped this, but one of my favorite moments was from Frankie, actually, in this arc, when they were like, there was one point where they were thinking about pulling out, and they were like, yeah, we came what we did, we sowed some seeds of dissent, now we're just gonna dip. And Frankie was like, listen, I know what you're trying to do, but these guys are fucking suffering, and they have been for a long time. He's like, listen, they need help, and I'm gonna fucking fight with them.
Yeah, because Frankie, old big buff crybaby ass, always be feeling somebody, bro. He's like,
and he was like, listen, these guys are real fucking cool, and I'm gonna fight with them. Yeah. And that hit Luffy hard. Luffy's like, you know what? I respect you for that. Let's fucking do this. He's like, Frankie, do what you gotta fucking do. Yeah. Like, because we've seen times where people disagree with Luffy, and it can go one of two ways. Either Luffy's gonna be like, yeah, I agree with you, like in this situation, or it's gonna be like an Usopp situation.
I'm the captain.
Where I'm the captain, you do what I say.
Yeah.
There's one of two ways that could have gone, and Frankie was willing to accept the Usopp situation.
Period.
But
he got agreed with.
The straight respect from Luffy that he earned in that moment, and from me too, was amazing. Yeah, that was a great moment from Frankie. But overall, I think Dressrosa was fucking great. We gave that boy a fucking 9 out of 10. Yep, overall, that shit was fucking fantastic. Everything from Doflamingo as the villain, getting stuff with Sabo was fucking amazing. Man. Zoro busting up Pika with his fucking crazy shit was awesome.
But yeah, 9 out of 10 for that one. That was fantastic.
After
Dressrosa, we meet up with
the rest of the crew at Zoe. And this is considered the start of the Whole Cake Island. And
I loved Whole Cake. I loved Whole Cake.
I loved Zoe. I'll be honest. Zoe was amazing.
I liked it all.
We get to Zoe. We find that this place is in shambles. Poison gas everywhere.
First off, hold on. Before we even get there, we have to. Zoe is a giant walking elephant of an island. So that's a thing.
It sets up the rest of this. It literally sets up the rest of the series.
Yeah, especially when it come back at Wano.
No, I mean in general, this arc probably sets up the entire rest of the series. Oh, I mean, just with all the information you can hear, especially the thing I like most about it. It was short. It was pretty fucking short and compact, but there was so much information that we got in this short little arc. So we meet up with the rest of the crew. They are on Zoe. This place was a poison wasteland when they got here. All of the minks, who are the inhabitants of this island, were strewn across the land. There was poison gas all over the air. Chopper, one of the first people to arrive. He's obviously furious.
As a doctor, poison is never good.
He assists, they all assist in helping them recover. Kinemon and Momo discover that their friend Raizo is on Zoe, and that is why they were attacked by the animal pirates, or the what they call them in sub? Yeah, Animal Kingdom.
That's an Animal Kingdom pirates.
They're called the Beast Pirates in dub and the Animal Kingdom Pirates in sub. I don't really know why they.
I switched to sub. My TV and all my apps made me switch to sub like 300 episodes before he had to switch to sub.
I was actually spoiled. I got to watch dub all the way through like 80% of.
I got to like
Island.
500, and it was like sub.
I got to almost episode 900 before I got to had to switch to sub. So,
you lucky bitch.
Yeah, I got pretty fucking.
He is a lucky bitch. Don't lucky. Watch it on Hulu.
Yeah, Funimation was the way to go. Almost 900 episodes.
Apparently, if you want to watch this all in English, Funimation.
Funimation is the way to go. You can watch almost all of it in dub. But so they were attacked by the Animal Kingdom pirates, mostly Jack. He is the very first person we meet with a 1 billion bounty. I mean, directly meet
1 billion berry.
1 billion berry bounty. Man, it has a Zoan type devil fruit that allows him to transform into a mammoth, which is fucking amazing.
It's fucking nuts.
This man was basically just leveling the whole every city in Zo that he could. He was leveling buildings left and right in search for this Raizo ninja. The minks up and down declined. He is not here. He is not here. He is not here. We've never heard of this Raizo.
I'm sorry.
So people are dying, losing limbs, poison gas.
Left and right.
Until eventually Luffy and crew show up.
Mm-hmm.
They got, Jack had left for a time being, but he left for the time being because he had to go. He attempted to go and free Doflamingo after his defeat. It did not work because he had to fight 2 fucking admirals.
And he had already been fighting them.
And he had already been fighting minks for days on.
Yeah, it was like 5 days and nights.
Yes, for several days on end.
Because they love fighting several days on end right before they go to another fight in this fucking show.
So Jack fought the minks for days, then he tried to go free Doflamingo from under the control of 2 admirals. Failed. Thought he was lost at sea for a while. Meanwhile, all this stuff is happening on Zo. They befriend the minks. They find out that Raizo really is here on the island, and he is one of Kinemon and Momo's companions. And this is when they discover the road poneglyphs. The minks introduce them to the 2 poneglyphs they have. One is a regular, one is the road. Are red. There are 4 of them, and combined they create a map to Laugh Tale Island, the final island where the One Piece is located.
Because apparently it was just a funny ass story.
Because you find out here that the minks of Zo are directly connected to Momonosuke's clan of the Kizuki clan from Wano.
The Kozuki clan.
And you learn that these poneglyphs were made in the land of Wano
for the world,
with the assistance of the Kozuki clan and Joy Boy. And so their history dates back all the way back again to the Blank Century. So
and all the minks. This is where you find out that all the minks have that servitude relationship with the Kozuki clan.
Yeah, all the minks basically consider the Kozuki clan as their masters. They go a very, 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 very long way back, which we find out in a short period of time. Jack comes back to Zo in an attempt to again find Raizo. This time he is fended off with the assistance of Luffy and Momo, speaking to the elephant of which the island of Zo is located, and the elephant absolutely smacks the shit out of Jack. Bro, takes his fucking trunk and
smacks it in the water. Well, he smacked it in the water to pop all the ships up, and then
yep, batter up. Yeah, then he smacks all the boats into the air and then just swats them away.
That shit was beautiful.
So that was wonderful. From here, the crew is split because they run into Gang Beji, who invites Sanji to his own wedding at the request of Big Mom.
You do
not turn down a request from Big Mom, or you receive a head of a loved one the very next day following said invitation.
And every day subsequently until you say yes.
So, needless to say, Sanji departs Zo
on his own
in
classic
fashion of going to, I'm about to go
so all my friends don't die.
And here is where the crew once again splits into. Some of them assist Kinemon and Momonosuke and head on their way to Wano. And the other half being Luffy, Nami, Carrot, Chopper. Because Luffy and Nami teamed up. And Brook. Brook's the one I keep forgetting. How do we forget Brook? He's the MVP of the fucking arc.
MVP of the goddamn arc.
And we forget him.
That's why I mentioned him last. Save the best for last.
Save the best for last. Anyway, there we get Nami, Brook, Luffy, Carrot, Chopper, and Pedro go to Whole Cake Island in search of Sanji.
Yeah.
With that being said, Whole Cake Island arc officially begins here, I would say.
Definitely.
As they now...
Because at that point, this is where we differ on our opinions.
This
makes Mom start spitting bars, started making the wedding cake while sending troops to raid and murder places from all over the world with the best ingredients to make this fucking wedding cake.
Yeah, they go through all this extra to make this wedding cake. Big Mom's making all the arrangements. Her family, all of her kids are coming in. This is actually
her
where
fucking kids, man.
Whole Cake Island is where we learn that she was the reason Caesar was trying to gigantify children, because Big Mom wants to have every sort of person on her island.
Yep.
Every single type of everybody. She wants
every race.
She wants every single race on her island.
Long arms, fishmen,
giants,
but giants don't like her no more.
Giants do not like her because of her history, which is understandable. She basically went on a rampage on Elbaf. This arc, I'm not a big... So the things that I did like about this arc really revolve around Sanji. We get Sanji's real backstory here, the rest of it anyway. We learn about his childhood. We learn that his father genetically enhanced all of his children. Sanji was the only one that the effects did not last or did not actually take effect. So Sanji was born effectively normal. Sanji's mom was very, very nice, but she had a very, very devastating illness. Sanji and his mom were basically closer than shit. His father was all about training. You guys are going to be my super weapons.
Their brothers and his sister were bioengineered to have zero emotions. So that was also a thing.
Well, her sister has emotions.
Yeah, you can't take emotions out of girls. That shit.
But the two boys, the three boys didn't give a fuck. Genetically modified to not have any emotions whatsoever.
Maximum no fucks given.
The father was trying to turn all of them just into his own, bioengineered weapons. Sanji, in his eyes, was a failure because he did not have any of these enhancements that the rest of his kids had. Where this is where his mom came into closeness, because his mom was sick, so Sanji would try to cook for her. It was not good. Sanji's cooking was fucking atrocious.
We all start somewhere.
But his dad found out he was trying to feed rats after his mom passed away and was furious.
That did not go well.
Eventually, he's so furious with Sanji, he sticks a weighted metal bucket on his head, throws him in a jail cell underground, tells everybody in his kingdom that he has died.
Crazy.
He is later discovered by his siblings. The boys, of course, go in and beat the shit out of him.
Man.
The sister, of course, comes in and cleans him up afterwards, like she always has. The father finally lands in the East Blue, where he is trying to take over or, make himself great again, as he says. And as they are attacking a nearby place, Sanji's sister rips open his fucking jail cell to escape.
Yeah.
And after leaving that is when he ends up meeting Zeph, and the story from there.
That's his history.
But all the stuff with Sanji in this arc I felt was fucking amazing. So, Whole Cake Island, the goals here is to rescue Sanji and get copies of Big Mom's Road Poneglyph. They split up here. Brook goes in search for the Poneglyphs, while Luffy goes in search for Sanji. Luffy, Nami, and Chopper, and Carrot. Oh yeah, and then Pedro and Brook went for the Poneglyphs. The other four wind up in the forest where they meet Big Mom's first child, Cracker.
They are all named after food.
After food,
Sweets and
but
foods and shit.
Nami has a Vivera card from one of Big Mom's daughters that she got all the way back in Thriller Bark. So she's using that to flex on all the inanimate objects made out of Big Mom's souls.
Evil.
So once again, Nami just being evil.
Evil. Dirty bubble evil.
So they come across two of Big Mom's children, actually. The first one they came across was actually the woman named Brule, who was the power of the mirrors. Carrot and Chopper effectively go into her mirror dimension and attempt to take her out. Meanwhile, Nami and Luffy take on Boyle Cracker. General Cracker. That's right, because they were sweet generals. He's one of the sweet generals. General Cracker. Luffy and Nami, after a long fight, and Luffy's reveal of fourth gear Tank Man and Gum Gum Cannon, shooting that man halfway across the island, unnecessarily as always.
That's so unnecessary, bro.
Anyway, they take out Cracker with pretty much relative ease, but this is the sad part, because this is where they come across Sanji for the first time since being on this island. This was fucking sad, because now we get to a Luffy versus Sanji showdown, because this is Sanji has to pull the
he pulled a Luffy to Kobe. I'm gonna beat the shit out of you in front of all these people so it don't look like we friends. But he took that shit a little far, bro. He put that nigga in the dirt, damn near.
Yeah,
bro.
Sanji had to put on a show for his siblings and his father, and
God.
he beat the dog piss out of Luffy. And this was one of those moments where Luffy just took the ass beating, as per usual Luffy.
Yeah, you don't like that he does it, but goddamn it, he does it.
He does it for good reason. But the part that hit me the most after Sanji beat the absolute fucking shit out of him
was, I'm gonna be right here.
He said, I will wait in this exact spot. He said, I will not eat again unless it is something that you make. And the part about that hit me so hard was it started raining syrup. And Nami was like, oh, it's raining syrup. This nigga Luffy said, and rolled over on his back. Like, I'm not eating shit, even if it's syrup falling from the sky. Unless Sanji brings it to me.
That's fucked up.
Like, Luffy is the realest man of all fucking time.
And then through the course of this arc, in that same exact spot, he had to fight multiple niggas, lost said fight because he's starving, got out of the spot, and then spent half of the rest of the arc trying to find his way back to that spot.
Yep, got his ass beat so bad out of the spot he said he was gonna stay. Where he was so determined, I have to get there. What if Sanji's there? Finally makes his way back to the spot. Sanji finds out that this wedding is a plot to kill him.
And his whole fucking family.
And his whole entire family. However, he is not able to leave because his father put handcuffs on him that would blow his hands off if he tries to leave. As well as they are holding the owner of the Baratier Zeph, who was basically his father of figure, over his head. Like, if you don't do what we say, we will kill. Sanji is basically stuck here. Even after realizing the assassination attempt, he seeks out Luffy, still sitting in the same spot, brings him a meal, and still tells him, I'm going through with this wedding. Even though my family's a bunch of pieces of shit, I still have to save them because I'm above all that. So he gets back ready for the wedding. Now, while this is going on, Pedro and Brook infiltrate good old Big Mom's palace in search for the poneglyphs. Pedro leads off many guards in an attempt to let Brook in. Brook finds the poneglyphs, and as he's in the middle of making copies, enter Big Mom. This is one of the reasons why Brook is MVP of this fucking arc.
Actual, bro. Big Mom is one of the four
Brook
emperors.
Squares up 1v1 with the Emperor of the Sea, Big Mom.
One of the 4 strongest pirates on the planet.
And this man faces her down with no fear. I mean, despite the fact he's obviously feeling it, he goes to strike her dead. No regrets. Of course, he loses this fight and becomes her plaything, basically. Her toy skeleton that she carries around with her. Look, it talks! And then...
They had to steal that nigga back while she was asleep.
Yep. And that's why... that is why Carrot and Chopper had to get the mirror world under control, because that was the main importance behind everything.
That was their travel.
That was their travel around this island.
Kidnapped Brule.
They had to sneak into Big Mom's bedroom through her mirror. It was like, all right, we gotta get Brook out of her arms.
and put
Didn't
her
it take them like
replacement
3
Brooke.
attempts before they did it
It did,
successfully?
because she ended up
She,
tossing them
she
and
almost
actually
flipped over one time. She almost
almost woke up one
incinerated
time
somebody. I don't remember who. Somebody almost got fucking like
in
incinerated.
her fucking sleep, bro. That's
Yeah.
how strong this is. So
Finally get Brooke out of there, only to find out he successfully got copies of both poneglyphs.
both
What
of them,
a
fantastic,
fucking clutch master, bro.
clutch match.
Fought Big Mom and still got a copy of both poneglyphs.
Then
At this point, we're coming up on the wedding, and they have to find a way to save Sanji. So Luffy teams up with good old Gang Beji, because Gang Beji wants to assassinate Big Mom, and Luffy and them want Sanji back. Now, so Beji's like, okay, so the important thing is here, we gotta take out this picture here, because the picture was of Big Mom's foster mom, I guess.
that's it. Mother Teresa level mom. She was taking in kids, but
Only
was
to
evil
sell them
about
to the
it.
Navy.
Real evil about it.
Anyway, she had this picture that would always sit in front of her at every occasion.
They were gonna break that.
Their goal is to break that picture.
And when she screams, because niggas have tried to fight her, and she's basically indestructible.
She creates a scream that basically
that saps all her powers for like
it
20
saps
seconds.
her powers out, but it also weakens everyone around her. They're incapable of doing anything while she's screeching. So they bring these earplugs and they get ready, and their idea is to destroy this picture. Now, their main obstacle here in the form of a person is Katakuri, because this man has advanced observation hockey to the point where he can see into the future.
Literally.
And so he is the first person to realize when something is amiss. So
he ends up basically popping up on these niggas, and Luffy, as you know, being Luffy, immediately was like, I need to fight that guy. Everybody else get away from him.
Yeah.
He's a problem.
But we're not gonna miss the best part. So how do we decide we're gonna interrupt Big Mom's wedding? Luffy is gonna gather up a bunch of wild animals. They're gonna all
they made clones of people from wild animals. So
they're gonna transform these wild animals into clones of Luffy, and Luffy and all of these clones are gonna pop out of this big ass wedding cake that Big Mom has been literally making for the entire first half of this arc. That she's been waiting to eat for the entire first half of this arc.
Man,
Luffy, in all of his ignorance, pops out of this bitch.
And this is why I say this is where the plan got fucked up. Because yes, they successfully shattered the picture after that, but she's so mad she didn't even scream.
Yep.
She didn't scream for like 5 more episodes after that. Yep. I was upset about that.
My game!
I did.
And then once again, MVP Brooke coming in and breaking that picture.
Yep.
Because as he popped out of the cake, who stopped him from breaking the picture? Katakuri. Because this man saw it coming. He's like, oh, someone just popped out of the cake? They're going after the picture. No. So that man immediately intercepted Luffy. Was not having none of the games.
Mochi. Fuck on.
So everybody was immediately shit hit the fan. But again, Clutch Master Brooke breaking the picture.
Then Luffy had to go run it over there to actually show it to this beach.
Yeah, and then she didn't even realize it. She was so focused on her fucking cake being destroyed, being pissed at Straw Hat, and that she didn't even notice this bitch got destroyed. So Luffy had to, here, bitch, look what happened. And that caused her to start screaming like crazy.
Yeah, she had to realize that the picture of her mom was fucked.
And so that caused her screaming. They attempted to assassinate her. Did not work. It still did absolutely nothing to her.
Garbage.
So their whole assassination plans went up in flames.
They successfully got Sanji back, which was cool.
Yeah, they successfully got Sanji out of the situation.
In this arc, Luffy leveled up to the point where he had to literally see in the future to beat Katakuri, and now he can do that. And then...
Well, their assassination attempt went to shit.
Yeah, I'll say the whole
what happened was the thing with Sanji was the whole thing to kill him was as they were about to kiss, she was about to just whip out a gun and shoot this man in the face, right? And as soon as she goes to do that, he's like, "Oh man, you have a beautiful third eye," and she just
fell in love with him.
What? Even Big Mom said my eye was creepy. What do you mean? But you know Sanji's a simp. You don't go fuck if you got 3 eyes, 4 eyes, 6 eyes. If you got big titties, some thick thighs, and a cute face, he will simp you up immediately. Immediately, she's like head over heels with Sanji because he's the first person who acknowledges she's beautiful despite having a third eye. That's really where things get good because then she's able to help him escape the cuffs and she's able to help them get away. But really, all of the whole Cake Island was really a bust. The only thing they succeeded as doing was getting Sanji out of there because on their way to escape, Luffy spent fucking 20 episodes fighting Katakuri, despite that half of them, they weren't even fighting for more than like 30 seconds. There was one episode where he was recharging Haki. They didn't fight at all. So I don't even know why it counts as a continuous fight.
Where he's ranting about now is this beat Goku and Frieza for the longest fight in anime. They weren't fighting the whole time.
There was one episode where he was trying to regain his Haki. He was running away. The only instance of a fight was when Luffy ran through the mirror and Katakuri tried to hit him with something as he went through the mirror. That was the closest we got to a fight in that whole part of this, in that whole episode. But it counts as the longest fight in anime. Like,
no, Goku and Frieza.
I'm sorry,
fighting for actual longer.
I'm not gonna cap. That is one thing that really pissed me off about this shit. Was I loved the fight itself, but why can't you just focus on the fucking fight itself? Why do you have to start the fight in this episode, let him talk for 2 minutes, throw 2 punches, let's focus on someone else the rest of this episode?
One Piece is constantly doing that, though.
But it's like this is the only fight that I fucking cared about in the entire arc, and you fucked it. Because literally after this, I fell off Whole Cake. I'm not even gonna lie. This shit pissed me off so bad. I started watching it so fucking slow. Like, the end of the Katakuri fight was dragging.
This is actually when I started to get.
I finished the Katakuri fight, and I'm like, okay, hopefully we'll be getting out of here now pretty soon. Nope. We spend the next fucking 8 episodes with Sanji and this bitch making a cake, 30 seconds an episode. The rest of the episode is just my wedding cake. My cake!
I love that part.
Cake! Wedding cake! That shit was fantastic. Why did I need 8 episodes for that? And then, after they finally finished the cake, they took 3 more episodes for her to actually eat the goddamn thing.
Yeah.
So,
One Piece, bro.
So I'm like, listen. There was literally like a fucking 15 episode span at the end of Whole Cake where I'm fucking banging my head against the wall. I'm like, why the fuck is this not over yet? I was literally getting fucking furious, especially because I knew we were on the fucking edge of getting to Wano, and I had literally been hearing since I started watching One Piece that Wano was the fucking shit. And I will just say this before we even get there. Wano was the fucking shit.
It is. So, yeah, before we just dive into Wano,
I was going to say, but that does bring us to the end of Whole Cake. Luffy beat Katakuri by looking into the future, getting his own advanced form of observation Haki.
And they all ran the fuck away.
And they all just ran the fuck away with the assistance of Jinbei and the Sun Pirates. This is where we said earlier it came into play.
Yeah,
Jinbei was a member of the Big Mom Pirates. So he had to leave her crew before he could join up with Luffy.
So Luffy hit him with the "Don't die."
So yeah, in this arc, he left Big Mom's crew, and as Luffy and them were going to leave, Jinbei caught up with them and said, "Look, I will cover your escape, and once I catch up to you, I will officially be a member of the Straw Hat Pirates." So
yeah. And Luffy hit him with the most iconic line.
Yeah, and Luffy, said, of course,
I'm your captain now. You don't have permission to die. I'll see you in Wano. Period.
Yep, we're going to Wano, and I'll see you there. Yep. With that being said, that does bring us to the end of Whole Cake Island. I rated it a 7.
I gave it a 8.5. I gave that bitch a smooth 8.5. That shit was good.
I gave it a 7. It was good, but it wasn't that great.
I thought it was great.
Oh, we did skip one thing. Technically, this is part of this arc. The Reverie. The meeting of kings. I forgot about this a little bit.
Went to shit, but they didn't really mention it for real. So I don't know.
Yeah, they didn't mention the outcomes of it, but the thing I will mention here is this is where we saw the thing with the
Celestial Dragon.
celestial dragon. Shirahoshi and Princess Vivi meet in this reverie, and they talk about meeting Luffy. Rebecca's there from Dressrosa. They have a nice little touching moment about meeting Luffy along their journey. At this time, the bitch ass celestial dragon from the Sabaody archipelagos that was enslaving people.
Yeah.
He shows up and slaps a fucking collar on Shirahoshi and is like,
In front of
"Yeah,
everybody.
this
bro.
mermaid bitch is coming with me."
In front of everybody.
In front of
bro.
everybody. Slapped a collar on this bitch like she's coming with me. And this is when that celestial dragon from Fishman Island, all those years ago, shows up and just socks that man square in the face.
Man.
And this was one of the greatest moments ever because everybody was like, "Oh, what? You can't hit a celestial dragon." He's like, "Ah, it's fine. I'm a celestial dragon too. Don't worry about it.
We can do this."
And he was like, "I hope you remember me. I'm the same one that visited Fishman Island all those years ago. Yeah. Thank you and your mom for saving my life." And so this just came full circle with that, and that's what was greatly appreciated. That was just a little touch on the reverie, though. We don't actually learn about the outcomes of that until we get into Wano. But believe me, the outcomes of that were fucking like the huge implications came out of it.
Without further ado, let's hop into it. Wano,
arguably the greatest arc
bro,
in the entirety of the series.
Yeah,
we have Wano.
Oh my god.
And oh my god.
Wano, bro.
Wano is amazing.
This is where we retroactively found out that Jack the Monster was Jack the Stooge. Jack the Stooge meaning the underling, the biatch, he ain't even that strong. You should see the rest of these niggas.
And basically, the Beast Pirates go like this. Kaido is the big hoss.
Big man.
Underneath Kaido, he's got his 3 lead performers. And they're in order. So it goes Kaido, then it goes King, then it goes Queen, and then it goes Jack. So out of the hierarchy, Jack is the lowest. And this man is walking around with a 1 billion bounty. And casually fighting niggas for days on Zou, taking out the whole Minx tribe.
Yeah.
And he's the weakest. But
so you knew this arc was about to get real.
Super real. But first of all, we got to cover the fact that just to get into Wano, you have to climb a fucking waterfall. A fucking waterfall.
Bruh, that was the most insane shit ever. Luckily, the Sunny has the crew to burst and shit. I don't know how other people be getting up there all the goddamn
They
time.
latched onto that fucking koi fish and they said, "Yeet me up there." And they fucking, so they did what they had to do. Yeah. But they fucking...
Wano is fantastic.
I fucking love Wano.
The start of it, they got there and they got to the flower capital. What's the first place they popped up?
No. First thing is Luffy meets that Otama girl with the purple hair
with the red bean soup.
Yep, he meets Otama. He is starving at this point, and she gives him rice, which he comes to find out that was her only meal in a very long time because it was her birthday, and every time on their birthday they get she gets an actual meal of rice. And so when she was hungry, she went out to a river to try to drink some river water. And the river water is polluted. So she ends up getting sick, and Luffy has to take her to go get some help. He meets her master, who is a swordsman of Wano, or a swordsmith of Wano. Luffy borrows one of his swords and dips off with that thing and her in an attempt to get her some help.
Yep.
And not too long after that, he runs into good old Zoro, fits in fucking perfectly.
Fantastically,
fits in fucking perfectly.
Zoro's whole
He's literally
fucking arc,
walking
bro.
around with his kimono. He's that guy who walks around with his hand in his kimono the whole time. Just one hand on the sword, the other hand in his kimono, just walking around. Fits in fucking perfectly there.
Man,
Wouldn't even tell.
look just like a samurai.
But of course, about 5 minutes later, he gets into trouble
Always.
because they were at a gambling house and
Sister Straw Hats.
people tried to cheat him, and he didn't play that very well. And then he got caught, and then those people were trying to be fucking corrupt, so he killed that man. But because he killed that man, of course, you know, they put a bounty on his head.
Yep.
He became a
He
fucking
became a
wanted
local
criminal.
killer.
Yeah. So that immediately, the whole lay low situation did not last very long.
You knew it wasn't going to, but you know they always fucking try or whatever.
Izuru, who is Kinemon's wife, as well as Kiku, one of the great Akazai,
Akazai and I.
but one of the samurai. You don't know they're a samurai yet, but everybody thinks it's a girl. It's not. Kiku is not a girl.
They mentioned that shit in passing.
Yeah, they happened to casually mention it, but yeah, sorry to hurt anybody's feelings out there.
It's a boy.
Kiku is a boy
with lipstick on.
but they meet them. They get into more trouble. Jack shows up. He meets another samurai, being Ashura Doji. That man smacks the dog shit out of Jack, which was pretty wild.
Man,
I was like,
I didn't see that coming.
I didn't see that coming either. A random samurai pulls up. They were like, "Oh yeah, we need to recruit him. He's gonna be helpful." I'm like, "Oh, he's one of the guys they were talking about." Walks up and claps.
When I thought about it, I assumed he was fat as hell because he was out of shape, not just because he looked like that. But no, he just looked like that. He a fucking unit, dude. I was like, oh!
Jack pulls up on them, and this man claps him.
Cross slash.
Yep, hits him with the double, and that shit's over.
And I'm like, oh,
no. So slowly but surely, you're meeting some of these very strong swordsmen. You don't realize they're all connected yet, but that comes in later.
For the anime people, this is about where we get to pass it, y'all. So if y'all don't want spoilers, I'll probably timestamp it if y'all still even watch it. If you didn't watch it, if you are still watching, congratulations. But spoilers.
But
that being said,
then
we found the Shogun.
Yeah, they introduced Shogun Orochi, giant piece of shit,
giant sack of garbage.
They also introduced Yasui, blue hair, smiley man. He's turns out to be a pretty big goat.
Fucking goat.
Pretty
fucking goated. Luffy saw Kaido drunk, thought he could whoop his ass. That did not go well. That was
fucking great.
This thing, I love
first
Wano
encounter.
Because yes, the first encounter with Luffy and Kaido. This nigga Kaido was drunk as hell.
Because it was right. It was right after they cut down Jack. So yeah, we might as well go here.
It was right when they cut down Jack. Yep. This nigga saw Kaido was like, "Oh yeah, you drunk as hell."
Kaido pulls up on them. Kaido's like, "Wait,"
in dragon form.
Yeah, Kaido's like, "Wait, they're here? Are you sure? All right, well let's go see." Dragon form. Drops out of the sky. Oh, you're Straw Hat, right? That's me. You're fucking Kaido, right? That's me. Like, oh, okay. I'm here to beat your ass.
Shouldn't have said that.
Kaido's like, well, let's go. So they immediately get to scrapping. This was looking a great moment because I was impressed. Luffy comes out the sky with a fat ass third gear, drops his bitch on his head, hits him. Listen,
I knew
watching it for the first time. I was slightly impressed. So he comes out of the sky, drops his big ass fist on his face, punches him square into the ground, craters it, and Kaido's laying there for a second. I was like, oh shit, Luffy low key.
That moment was impressive.
Yeah, I was like, Luffy socked the shit out of him in dragon form. Like that was pretty dope. About 30 seconds later, fucking. Oh, wow, I'm kind of sobering up now. That was a good punch.
Yep.
What? Huh?
And the fact that he was like, all right, I need to go harder. And he went like second gear, and then he burped one of his attacks away. And I was like, oh God, this is about to end badly.
Then basically fucking smacks him away with one of his fucking antennas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gets ready to blast breath. Blows away an entire fucking mountaintop with a blast breath. No difficulty.
Yep.
And then proceeds to one-shot Luffy.
Yeah.
pretty effortless.
Sent this man into a whole
Then
training arc.
he gets disappointed. He gets up and he's like, well, I'm completely sober now. I'm kind of pissed. Back to dragon form, back home. Starts
Time to get
drinking
drunk
again.
Alcoholic galore, bro. I love
Alcoholic galore.
So the plan in this arc was we are going to wait until the fire festival, and this nigga gonna be drunk as hell.
During the fire festival, all the higher ups, all the main people, we gathered on Kaido's island, and that's where we will attack them. Kinemon gets this flyer out to everybody, letting them know when to meet and where to go. At one point, this message gets intercepted, and a lot of people, samurai people, get locked up by the shogun. And this is when our boy Yasui comes into play. He changes the message to the people who have received it. And then he goes, as he's being executed, he claims that the original message was just his own hoax, a practical joke of his that he played.
Yeah, because they had a prophecy from Kosuke Oden's wife,
Momonosuke's mama.
And in 20 years, the Akazaya 9 is going to come back and fuck shit up. So it was 20 years later when Luffy got there. So there was the
Shogun was already uneasy.
Yeah, he'd been tweaking.
So him getting that message was why he flipped out.
Flipped all the way out.
But Yasui's smart big brain plays there at the end reinvigorated their plan to again raid Onigashima, which helped them out massively. During this process, they have the Akazaya 9. Luffy's imprisoned, which sends him into a whole training arc.
Imprisoned with C Prism Stone cuffs.
Yep.
And
him and Kid are both locked in this prison. They're competing with each other, of course, being Goofy.
Until Kid escapes.
Yep. Goofy meets old man Hyo, who teaches him about
Ryo,
which is the Wano form of armament hockey.
Yep.
Which is also the same thing that he's been trying to learn, coincidentally.
Yeah.
Which is just the advanced version of armament hockey, basically. Until, that is, Luffy begins trying to learn, the even further advanced step where the thing like Rayleigh can do, where he can insert his own power into you and then hit you from the inside. That's some shit that we've only really seen him and Rayleigh do at this point. But he was able to grasp this with the help of the training of Old Man Hyo and through all of his own personal gains via training with C Prism Stone cuffs and going through a whole fucking sumo wrestling tournament. So during this time of them in this being imprisoned, Big Mom arrives on Wano. King successfully sends the rest of the pirates back down to the beginning. Meanwhile, Big Mom falls into the water, loses her memories, and winds up on shore with Chopper, who, being a good person, doesn't just kill her like any normal person would do.
I'll push that bitch in the ocean. I promise you I'll push that bitch back, bro.
He helps her regain her memories, and they actually use her to break into Luffy's prison.
Nope. I'm telling you exactly how this happened. I'm taking 3 rumble balls. I'm turning giant, and I'm punting that bitch as hard as I can right back into the ocean. But, Chopper cool.
Anyway,
continue.
Chopper and Otama and Big Mom and Kiku go to Luffy's prison to break him out. They successfully do so. Big Mom regains her memories. Big Mom turns on them, of course, tries to fight them. They get the fuck out of Dodge.
Time to go.
Big Mom eventually meets up with Kaido. They start scrapping for about all of 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And then they're like, hey, why don't we team up?
Which is weird because they started scrapping. They flashed to some shit and then they flashed back and they was already drinking. And I'm like, oh, damn, that was quick.
Yeah. Especially considering, like we already established early,
he said,
people like to fight for days in this show.
And he literally told her, he said, bitch,
if you come here, I will kill you.
I will literally kill you.
And apparently he was bluff. And now I've seen a bunch of memes that saying they was clapping cheeks, and I didn't even want to think about that. But now y'all got me thinking Kaido was out here clapping Big Mom's cheeks.
Nigga,
now that the imagery's in my head, you all got to think about it too.
8,700.
Kaido was out here clapping Big Mom's cheeks. So if it's in my head, it's in your head. You're welcome.
Why would you do that to me? I hadn't heard that.
Regardless, at this point now, we're setting up for the fire festival.
They found out that during the setup to the weapons factory, they explained about how Wano was the actual weapons factory, how Dressrosa was the mini factory and the mini Smiles factory. For this was who they were making this shit for.
Wano was mass
They
producing weapons under Kaido's
Mhm.
supervision.
And the Smile Fruit, another fucked up thing about the
The
Smile,
Smile
Fruit.
Fruits were being provided to Kaido so he could create an army of Zoan type users.
But it only worked on like 1 in 6 people. So everybody else who it didn't work on lost their ability to do anything but smile. So they were all living super fucked up lives in Wano, and they were all just like,
Yeah,
the
being
whole
forced to
time,
smile despite the
That
fact that
shit
they're
was
going through
terrible.
hardship after hardship. Literally, Yasui was Otama's dad. He died, and she had to sit there and smile while she was bawling her eyes. Throughout all of this, throughout the entirety of Wano, you also learned that Luffy is not the first pirate to have wandered onto the borders of Wano.
Oh yeah,
Ace was one of them. Ace, a few years prior, met Otama and someone we'll meet later, Yamato, and he has a history of both of them. Something that really hit tough during this arc was when Otama kept saying, "Oh, Ace is gonna come back and help us," and Luffy just had to look this bitch dead in the face and say, "Ace is dead," and he didn't even elaborate or nothing. He just left it at that. Then
he probably still real beat up about it. I wouldn't
no,
elaborate.
The shit that got me was later when they show Yamato's reaction. That shit had me fucking. Yeah. It was like Ace dying a second time. That shit was tough. But we also figured out this is where we are coming up on the backstory of the great Kozuki Oden. So we are learning the history of the Akazaya Nine, who consist of Ashura Doji, Kinemon, Cat Viper, Dogstorm, Kiku, his older brother Izu, along with Denjiro, Raizo, Kanjuro.
Yes.
So I meant to get your reaction to that. I meant to ask you. I keep forgetting to ask you about that, but I will get to that.
No, we'll get to that in a second.
I will get to that in a second. I forgot to see your reaction to that because I know you love that man. Anyway, so we get the backstory of the great Kozuki. This man is arguably the fucking greatest character in fucking One Piece. Definitely the GOAT. This man, he is the father of Momonosuke, and he was a ruffian as a kid. He was an absolute menace, ruffian, troublemaker as a child. To society. At the age of 16, he was cutting down giant fucking boars. That is when he first recruited Kinemon and Denjiro as followers. Who kidnapped said boar? Yeah, they kidnapped the boar's child, and the boar attacked the village, and Odin killed said boar, saving the village. And he took the blame for it. Everything. While Kinemon and Denjiro started to follow him in his ways. Along their travels, they encounter Ashura. Oh, no, his next goal is to take over the land of Kuri, which is a lawless land. The strongest person on that land is Ashura Doji, who he beats with relative ease, and he also comes under his command as one of his samurai. And Odin becomes the leader of the land of Kuri. Then recruits the rest of the Akazaya Nine. One of the other pirate I should say, who arrives shortly after on the land of Wano, is good old Whitebeard. Edward Newgate. Newgate. So this was after he was made, after Odin was made daimyo of Kuri. He basically still always wanted, his dream was always to go out to sea. So when he first met Whitebeard, he was very, very insistent of, I need you to take me with you. He would not take no for an answer. Nope. In fact, despite the fact that they were literally leaving the island on a day they told this man they weren't, so he would not come. They were heading out. This man sprints full fucking force down to the fucking beach, grabs a fucking rope, ties that bitch to the end of the fucking ship, and just holds on. They said, if you can hold that rope for 3 days and 3 nights, I will let you on my ship. Owen said, challenge accepted. He was 2.5 days in. He was 3 days, and all he had to do was get through the last day, and he would have been on board. And then all of a sudden, the finest bitch in the whole show, or one of them, gets fucking under attack, and he has to come in to save the day. Man. Toki with the Toki fruit, Toki no Mi fruit, or whatever the fuck it's called, the time traveling fruit.
His
This
wife.
bitch came from the blank century.
Yeah, she old. Well, I would say she old, but she's time traveled.
She's time traveled from the
technically
blank century to their time. And she decided this is where she wanted to be when she met Odin. So Odin, Toki, and Izu set out on their trip. Oh, and Dog Storm and Cat Viper stowed away as well.
Yeah.
But
yeah, them niggas is not getting left
they they all set sail with good old Whitebeard. He travels a very long time with Whitebeard, all the way up until their encounter with Gold Roger.
Bruh.
Which was hilarious.
Goldie Roger, bro.
Odin
pulls up on
this was hilarious because for the longest time Roger was hearing, oh, I heard that Whitebeard recruited a super strong samurai. I can't wait to meet him. Mm-hmm. And as soon as Roger steps foot on the island,
Kozuki Odin
sprints at this man full power. Roger! And Roger looks at him and he's like, oh, is he the samurai? Pulls out the sword, smacks him one time, flings him square all the way against a tree halfway across the island. I was like,
oh my god.
As soon as he hits that, here comes Whitebeard out of the sky with his fucking giant axe. And they just collide. Fight for 3 days and 3 nights before they just start drinking and trading and having fun.
Bruh, I love
their 3 days and 3 nights fight was their introduction. That was them saying hello.
That was literally them saying hello. Them niggas popped up on each other. He smacked Kozuki. They clashed. The whole island shook. Then they stood back and was like, hey, it's been a minute. How long has it been since we've seen each other? Da 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 da. They exchanged pleasantries, and then they both looked at each other and at the same time and said, now, give me everything you've got, and got to scrap.
Roger and Whitebeard scrap on sight
every time
to say hello.
Every time.
That's because there's no one in the world that's as strong as them besides fucking Garp.
Period.
And they don't even want to deal with the Navy long enough to find Garp.
Period. They take out the ship and get to
keep on moving. But it is at this point that Roger admits he does not have much time left and that he is truly on the track for the final island. Mm-hmm. And for this search, he needs someone who is capable of reading the poneglyphs. This is when he strong arms Whitebeard into letting him borrow Odin for a year.
Yep.
And it turns into way more than that. But
yeah, he took him to Laugh Tale, and then they
got as they approach Laugh Tale, Odin's wife and Buggy both get sick. The only 2 people with devil fruits on the entire crew, by the way. That's why Shank's crew doesn't have devil fruits, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only. He's that man's thinking ahead.
Thinking way ahead.
But so they get sick. After, and it had Momonosuke already, so they go and they fucking take the time traveling lady and Momonosuke back to Wano. When Odin returns, he discovers that his father
got tricked
into giving
Orochi
the Shogun seat.
It turns out he was evil. And he was from the opposing clan of the Kozuki, the Komanuki. I don't fucking remember their name. It started with a K. They a bunch of bitch ass niggas. And shit just got really sad from there because he just started making everybody's lives hell.
Well, this just turned into shit because Odin returned and Kaido and Orochi being in charge, turning shit into a wasteland. Odin went to confront them, and they looked at Odin and was like, look, you could fight us now, but you're going to cause a huge war if you do. And they made him a false agreement. They said, in 5 years, we plan on leaving. And when that time comes, we will give you the Shogun seat. As long as every day until then, you come to the square and you dance in your underwear in a silly dance.
Bruh.
And Odin, without a moment's hesitation, accepts their offer.
Yeah, he looked at them and he's like, you promise that this will save my people? Because not only that, they was kidnapping niggas, and it was like, bro, if you don't chill out, we gonna start murdering these people. And he was like, bro, you gonna leave them the fuck alone? And they let like 100 fucking people go that day, and he was low key. They were releasing some people as he was there.
So he believed them that they were going to stop doing all of these things, only for those 5 years later to come And instead of turning over the shogun seat, he comes to Odin and says, "Oh yes, now we're going to be expanding to this area. So I need your people to comply with me and not give me any fucking issues." And Odin at that point is like, "Yeah, y'all got me fucked up. It's time to scrap."
Period.
So Odin squares up with fucking Kaido because that's the only reason nobody wants to fuck with Orochi, because he's being backed by Kaido. Orochi's a bitch. Kaido's that man. Odin knows this. He says, "All right, we about to scrap for my country." Then he gathers up his swords and he gets the scrapping. Him and Kaido get the fucking scrapping.
Bruh.
This is one of those
Banging.
fights. This is one of those fights that could have gone on for days, as you know, multiple people have already done in this show. This is one of those fights that could have just kept going for days.
Ignorant beach.
But then this old ass lady with the
same one that tricked his dad.
The same one that tricked his dad with the clone fruit pretended to be Momonosuke in the heat of battle, which caused Odin to turn around
and get Thunder Bagawood to the motherfucking
get a straight Thunder Bagua
to the side of the head, like, oh,
clean smack.
I see that coming.
So, despite the fact of Odin being the only person to clean cut Kaido with a straight X slash on his, leave him scars.
That was there 20 years later. As we flash
that was still there 20 years later.
As we flash, Kozuki Oda did that shit, and he got his fight fucked up.
And so he lost this fight, and after losing this fight, he is sentenced to him and the Akazaya 9 are sentenced to execution.
But he jumped into boiling oil, saving them.
They are said to be boiled in oil, so he stands in the oil and holds them above it for an entire hour.
Fucking hour, bro.
In boiling hot water that gets turned up halfway through.
Yeah, because they're like, oh shit, he can actually do this. Let's make it hotter.
So he makes it through the entire hour. Kaido gives him the reassurance, look, that bitch that interfered in our fight, I killed her ass. Just so you know. But I can't let you get out of there because there's nothing left of you in the lower half. So he's like, so I will let your samurai live, but you're already dead anyway. Shot him in the head. As Odin says, Odin wouldn't be Odin.
Yeah.
And
fantastic. The entire Wano finished it for him. Because he didn't get to say if it wasn't.
He didn't get to say if it wasn't boiled, but the entire land of Wano finished his sentence.
And that's like, oh my god, greatest anime.
One of the greatest deaths in anime history.
Ever, bro. This is fantastic. That brings us back to the
Flash forward, current time.
They get to Onigashima, and this is
before that, they get their whole squad up. They have the Akazaya 9, they got Law's crew, the Straw Hats, and they got Kid.
Everybody back together. Yep.
So peak animation episode, Luffy, Law, and Kid take out their frontal, takes out basically their scout ships. That's when the true raid on Onigashima begins, because Denjiro, who is now who was for 20 years acting as the bodyguard for the Shogun in disguise, he is now leading all of the samurai that were imprisoned and all of the rest of the ones who were able to rebel.
Forces, yep.
So all of their own forces, including the Akazaya 9 and the Straw Hats and the pirates, show up for the raid on Onigashima. And this is the point where we find out that they still know about their plans somehow. And this is where we discover that there is a traitor in the midst. And of all people, it was the one who was with them the longest.
It was
Kanjuro.
That shit fucked me up. He was Orochi's fucking cousin from the Kominozi clan. Still don't remember their fucking name. Still fuck them. But I love that nigga so much, bro. And I was talking all the shit to this man about he looked a little, stupid.
No,
but
I came over here one day. This man was telling me, I love Kanjuro. This man, his drawings are hilarious. This man is the GOAT. This man is great. He's like my favorite. He's like my favorite one of the samurai. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, you poor soul. Because I had already seen that he was the traitor.
Yeah, so they have to deal with this man, and I don't even think they
Kanjuro
killed
kidnapped
it.
Momonosuke
Yep,
and dipped.
super duper dipped. Yeah, no, but these niggas got the scrapping, and Kinemon had to kill this nigga, and the flashbacks even fucked me up, bro, because I was like, man, why you have to be evil, bro?
No,
Like you were such a good
there were
nigga,
so many
bro.
flashbacks of them just living life and being friends,
And I'm like,
and
oh,
all of it
my
was just fake.
fucking feelings,
Yep.
bro.
They get to Onigashima, and the raid begins. This is where the pacing starts to drag a little bit in the anime. I'm gonna try to keep it as short and like simplified as possible. Kaido starts fighting with the samurai immediately.
They
Um,
lose, and then
And that fight's trying to kind of take it back in place in the background. Basically, what happens on the roof, it's Kaido versus the Yakuzaya 9. And during that time, Jack shows up. Jack starts taking out all of the minks. And that's when Dogstorm and Cat Viper get pissed. They activate their fucking mink transformation. And they clap Jack
bruh,
instantly.
immediately.
So then it turns into that actually Akazaya 9 versus Kaido. Kaido stops. Easy.
Easy.
While this is going on, there's the first floor that is the performance floor. That's where Momonosuke is currently being held. Queen and King are holding the fucking soon-to-be execution of Momonosuke. Big Mom is also on the performance floor at first. And this is when all the Straw Hats pull up. Jinbei and Robin fucking judo flip Big Mom out of the castle.
Yep, she tried to just run up and attack him, and this motherfucker.
Jinbei grabs her fucking arm, does the judo flip, and Robin just pops up the hands to keep fucking rolling her out the building.
Anybody who wrestles, you don't even gotta watch the episode to know what this is. He jab wizard the fuck out her ass. Woo! Pew! And then Robin with the LaFleur just arms
Rolling
all
that
the way
bitch all the
down. They
way
rolled
out.
that bitch all the way away, like Team Rocket blasting off again. I was like, oh my god, what? So that was fantastic.
Sanji gets kidnapped by a bunch of females.
Because he can't fight
Because he
females.
can't fight females. Zoro and Luffy start heading to the roof where Kaido is. Nami recruits Zeus twice, basically.
Because Big Mom took her back, and then she took her back because
Big Mom basically tossed Zeus aside and made a whole new cloud. So Nami was like, "Hey, I'll take you."
Only because Prometheus is a sack of garbage and one of the girlfriend.
Wanted a girlfriend. It was like, yeah, Zeus is slowing us down anyway. Like,
Yeah.
what a dick.
A fucking dick, bro. Even for bad guys, you're a dick. After that, they met up with Big Mom and Kaido met up with Luffy, Law, and Kid on the roof for one of the funniest anime moments I've ever seen in my entire life.
But when Luffy finally arrives on the roof, he discovers Kinemon and all the Akazaya samurai absolutely fucked
up. They're decimated.
Kinemon gives him a speech. Please save the land of Wano. He said, of course I will. This is my friend's country. Law poofs them off the roof. And then it turns into Law, Kid, Luffy, Zoro versus Kaido and Big Mom. And this is where we get one of the most hilarious moments in all of anime.
In all of anime, bro. These niggas.
Kaido and Big Mom shoot
a fire-ass gigantic blast.
Beam attacks, basically.
And who was it? Was it Kid or Luffy that said it?
I don't know. They were all standing there.
I think it was Luffy. He was like the first one to move from this spot.
Well, because one of them was saying like, one of them. Oh no, I think Zoro had said something first. Zoro was like, "Hey guys, get the fuck out of the way." And then one of them was like,
first one to move's a bitch, basically.
Basically they had we're gonna play chicken with these blasts. First one to move is a little bitch.
No, they're standing here and
all three of them, they keep changing, they keep showing panels. They're like, all right, they show you the fire blast is this far away. Show you again it's this far away. Show you again it's this far away. And now these niggas are like starting to back the face up.
And then they all just get smacked.
And then they all just get fucking obliterated by it.
I'm like, who? Why? None of this is a good idea.
They took the full brunt of those attacks
straight to the face,
just on principle.
Because Mama
didn't raise no bitch.
Mama didn't raise no hoe.
That shit was great.
That shit was fantastic.
But basically, after this, the fight gets split up, turns into Kid and Law versus Big Mom, and Luffy and Zoro versus Kaido.
which ended up being fantastic because at this point
Zoro,
Zoro had acquired one of Kosuke Oden's old swords, and
he
that
does
bitch
manage to cut Kaido.
barely.
However, he is smacked back through the ceiling and back down to the performance floor. So that results into back turning into just Luffy versus Kaido.
I'm assuming this nigga saw Oden's sword and the nigga that can wield that bitch and was like,
Yeah, he got cut one
I'm not
time.
having this.
He got
bro.
cut one time and was like, "All right, you're a problem."
I'm not having this, bro.
So we'll retouch on Kaido and Luffy in a minute. We'll split off to these other ones.
Like the fucking show did.
Yeah. Jinbei gets his fight against Who's Who, one of the Toby Roppo members of the Animal Pirates. He just fucking gets him with the good old fishman jujitsu.
Super Demon Brick Fist.
Super Demon Brick
That
Fist.
was
Love
that
Jinbei.
was a fucking new one. That was
Frankie gets his dub over the Triceratops motherfucker with his V strike.
Barely. Frankie be getting real tough opponents sometimes, man. When that nigga sword started spinning,
Man.
I was like, hold up.
Robin ends up picking up the fight with the girls to replace Sanji because, of course, Sanji can't hit women.
Mm-hmm.
Robin and Brooke have no problem, so they end up relatively no-diffing this fight, if I'm being honest. Brooke has no difficulties with the weaklings, and Robin pulls out a fishman jujitsu of her own that apparently Jinbei taught her, and just gets the big clap.
I was not aware that this bitch learned that.
This is where we're starting to get into manga only now because this fight is still in the process of being animated.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, obviously, Robin's about to get the dubski. Is that she's about to hit this fishman jujitsu, and it's about to be over. Meanwhile, back on the performance floor, Chopper is fighting Queen.
Queen has unleashed these. They're like the poison rifle bullets that Jack had, but they're ice and they're like zombie infectious.
Yeah.
And the shit was crazy.
So Chopper's trying to figure out everything.
Marco had to come and help with his literal phoenix flames and said, I'll give you enough time until your willpower / stamina runs out, and then you're just fucked.
Yeah,
like I can't.
But Marco and Chopper to basically try to defuse that situation, and that ends up turning into Sanji versus Queen. Zoro needed to get healed after getting fucked up by Kaido, but that's about to turn into Zoro versus King. So we're getting Sanji versus Queen right now. That's in the process of happening, and Zoro versus King. That's in the process of happening. So that's going to turn out great. But that brings us back up to. Well, I guess we'll just go ahead and cover the Law and Big Mom first. Law and Kid get the scrapping, but Kid got they got their awakening powers.
Yep.
During this fight, so yeah, Kid and Law get their awakening powers, and they get the dubski over Big Mom.
Yeah, Kid used the best bait move I had ever seen. She was this close to blowing this man shit in, and he just caught a little piece of metal around her wrist, and it was like repel. Everything shot her ass smooth the fuck back. That shit was fantastic.
Beautiful.
And
the way that Law just be using his power to fucking switch shit on the. I love the way he fucking does that shit.
I can't wait to see the last move that they hit on her, the giant sword. Bro.
That's what I'm waiting for.
Extendo boy.
Yep,
oh yeah, that motherfucker was beautiful, bro. Yep. That motherfucker was beautiful.
Because didn't Law just like switch places with Kid and then fucking literally pull that bitch out?
That bitch all the way down to the ocean.
And then that shit was, and then so yeah, they successfully defeated Big Mom. And then we get to Luffy and Kaido. Luffy gets Gear 4 again, and honestly, I'm gonna be straight. Gets fucking smacked straight into the ocean.
Like it beats. Then Yamato has to step up.
Yep. Yamato steps up and starts fighting Kaido. That's where we're at in the anime right now. She's fighting Kaido in her beast form.
His Kozuki Oden's.
Yamato, Kozuki Oden, whatever. Luffy was found by Law's crew in the submarine, and he is currently being
screaming for me.
Fixed up. This is now when we're getting to manga only.
Yep, for Kaido.
First off, Momonosuke uses Shinobu's powers to age himself to 28.
I didn't see that coming.
Neither
that
did
was a weird flex.
Become a giant dragon instead of his tiny form. He's able to fly Luffy back up to Onigashima, as well as he's able to slow its process of attempting to crush the capital Flower City, which is where it's currently on its way to as we speak. Luffy returns to the great Onigashima, only to find out that Kaido has not only defeated Yamato, but has also killed most of the samurai as well.
Yeah, he been fucking shit up while he was gone.
And because remember because the samurai did try to defend Momonosuke from Kaido, and they all got absolutely slaughtered. Luffy does make his way back up to Kaido, and this is where our final fight commences.
uh, Zoro slashed the shit out of that dude. He
Yeah,
slashed his mask off
yeah, I'm
of
about
him,
to
and
say I'm
then
about to switch. I'm about to.
they got to
We're
see
gonna switch
King's
back to
face
them now because Sanji does put his suit on
for like
very briefly.
very briefly, and then he got furious about it. And then it didn't matter because Queen ended up destroying it anyway. And the only reason he really wanted him to unleash the suit was that he wanted to show that his improvements of himself were better than anything that his dad could do.
Basically, Queen also modified his body to be androidy as well as being a Zoan type user. But
giant robot dinosaur.
Either way, Sanji brings that fight to a smashing conclusion, per usual.
Per usual. And then with King, Zoro
fucking whips out the fucking.
Bruh.
Doesn't he whip out the Ashura again?
Yep. He whips out the Ashura, 9-headed demon dude, and then he cuts through King's mask, and I guess it was as bad as seeing Moshi Moshi's dude on his back as seeing King's face. Katsuguri. It was like seeing Katsuguri on his back, seeing King's face. Apparently, no one had ever seen this nigga's face.
Oh yeah, because King was the Lunarian, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's a real Lunarian.
Yep.
So as soon as he ripped his mask off, he was like, "You have to die now."
Yeah, like I'm a Lunarian and we don't exist anymore. Like period. You can't know about me.
You can't know about me.
And then Zoro still just claps his ass.
He's like, "Oh well, I'll just end your existence anyway. Fuck it." And pretty much I wouldn't say no diff. It was very difficult, but
not really. He basically he was able to move again for a short period of time because of Chopper's medicine. He whipped out his fucking one attack, and now he can't move again. Yeah.
So it was difficult. It wasn't a difficult fight, but it was a difficult situation.
Yep.
Because he was already fully casted up all the way out, all head to toe like
this. That was hilarious.
And then they had to shoot a giant ass needle into him, which he didn't like at all. I wouldn't have liked that either. That was long. Yeah,
but he said he's like, if it'll let me fight, just do it.
Yeah, just do it. Just tell me. I can't see it. Yeah, so that happened, and then
now that just leaves us with Luffy versus Kaido. And this is where the moment we've actually all been waiting for, because we finally discover the truth behind Luffy's devil fruit. Luffy does not have the gum fruit. Luffy has the Nika sun god fruit,
which is a fruit that originally belonged to Joy Boy. He is basically the reincarnation of Joy Boy.
The only person to have ever used this fruit before to this extent was Joy Boy.
And the whole awakening and everything.
Yep, because this was the official awakening of Luffy's devil fruit. Gear 5. This man is the most Looney Tune-esque anime character I have literally ever seen. This man reached out, touched lightning, turned that shit to rubber, and threw that bitch at fucking Kaido.
And then he grabbed Kaido, turned that bitch into rubber, and jump roped with his ass. That shit was fantastic. All in all, he did play around a little too much because he did end up getting knocked out of fifth gear and had to go back in it before.
And this was a big misconception. Like Luffy's fucking insane in fifth gear, whatever. Kaido, while after fighting all day
and multiple
opponents, people, he was still able to successfully knock Luffy out of fifth gear at least one time.
That happened. You all read that.
Yeah. I don't know if that was something that people missed, but a fatigued, weakened Kaido was still able to knock Luffy out of fifth gear. It's not like Luffy turned fifth gear and just fucking Kaido's done. Like that's not how that went at all. Like despite being fifth gear, Luffy still had to try. Like Luffy didn't just fifth gear, I win. Like I said, he turned fifth gear and then the fight began. Luffy was getting bodied before he got fifth gear.
Yep.
Now he's taking lightning, throwing that at man. He's jumping rope with him, but he's not doing any damage to him for real. He was fucking. All he's doing is pissing Kaido off for real. Like, Kaido's like, all right, I can see you're getting stronger, but like, can we get fucking serious about this? Like, yeah, I'm glad we're having fun because we're fighting, but like, get serious, get real. And it isn't until his last attack when he finally actually smacks the fuck out of Kaido.
Yeah.
But even then, like, there's still no guarantee that Kaido's dead. He's probably not. I feel like there has been an extreme amount of wank for Luffy ever since Fifth Gear dropped. Don't get me wrong, I love Luffy. I love every gear, especially Fifth Gear, but the wank is just unfucking real. But that'll be again. That's a topic for another video. We'll get into debates at a different point. The very last thing we need to talk about is the effects of the reverie, because we learned about these things in Wano as well.
Oh my
we
god.
Learned
we
that,
didn't learn about that all the way after his niggas fight with Kaido.
We learned that the warlord system has officially been dissolved.
They then went after Boa Hancock.
They are officially going after the warlords, Mihawk, Boa Hancock.
They have gone after Mihawk and Crocodile, who have joined.
Tore down the warlord system.
All right.
Sabo invaded Marijois in order to free Kuma. It has been said in the news that Sabo has apparently killed Vivi's father, King Nefertaria. So with that being said, it leads us right into the post Wano. I guess we'll go ahead and rate Wano now. Yeah. Wano, for me, I'll go ahead and say 9.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'll give it the same.
Everything was fucking great. There was points where I was like, okay, the anime pacing got a little bad, but like after reading the manga, it's just the anime pacing. The manga was not that fucking bad.
No, the manga was much better.
If I'm being completely honest, if I would have read the whole manga, I probably would have enjoyed the series a lot better. If I'm being completely honest with you, that's a lot of fucking reading. Yeah, but so the manga pacing was way better. The anime pacing sucked it a little bit, but that's why I'm giving it a 9.5. Like, it wasn't a perfect arc, but it was fucking goddamn close. With all the flashbacks to Ace, which I forgot to mention even though I talked about it, Yamato seeing his Beaver card disappear was fucking sad as shit. That shit was like seeing Ace die a second time from a whole different point of view. She was like, no. Well, and even I'm like, no.
They're like, what the fuck is happening?
Like, no, because she didn't even know what was happening. She's just like, it's just going. She's like, what?
And his shit just started burning one day, and then like
never stopped. Yes, and that's what that shit was fun. That shit hit me tough. Going into post Wano, the news of Kaido's defeat has spread, naming the new 4 emperors of still red-haired Shanks. Now Blackbeard, of course. Third, replacing Kaido, is now Luffy. And in the 4th spot, surprisingly,
Big Mom is
Buggy the Clown, bro. Alright. This is where we get into this,
bro.
Buggy the Clown has teamed up with the likes of Crocodile and Mihawk. And they are
Hawkeye,
Mihawk, and Crocodile. And they are out here placing bounties on Navy soldiers.
Bro,
they flipped the script. They said, okay, you took the warlord system and you're putting bounties on us. Now watch this. Putting bounties on your heads too.
And the shit, this right now.
And this was great because Buggy's crew comes up with this poster with the 3 of them on it. It's got Buggy's face on the top half. And they got Crocodile and fucking Mihawk on the bottom. And immediately Buggy's like, why the fuck did you do that? Mihawk and Crocodile both look at him like, oh, so you think you're running the business here, huh? He's like, no, it's not like that.
I promise you I didn't do that. Yeah. And like they even showed the flashback. As soon as Buggy saw the poster, his eyes literally popped out of his head and was like, what are you doing? They're gonna fucking kill me when they see this. Yeah. What the fuck is this?
Crocodile looks, and then because I get the page for the 4 emperors shortly after. Mm-hmm. So, but Crocodile looks at Mihawk and they're like, Crocodile's like, are you okay with this clown really taking the leadership role in this?
Like, fuck no.
Mihawk's like, of course not, but I don't really want the extra attention from the Navy, do you? And he's like, well, not really. And then Mihawk's like, well, plus, we can kill him whenever we want to.
We're that much stronger.
And Crocodile's like, oh, yeah, you're right about that. And they're like, well, all right, I guess you can go ahead and take the lead on this one, pal. And Buggy's like, well, I'm not dead. Buggy is fighting for his fucking survival.
Literally, bro. He is the poster boy for failing up. This man has been running away from things all series.
And just been getting upgrades the whole
every time, bro. He's not even supposed to be relevant no more.
He's a fucking 4th emperor.
He's an emperor. So,
which just leads us to the very most recent things that happened. One of the major things here is Blackbeard pulled up on Boa Hancock. And so this has so many questions and also implications in my
Man,
head. First of all, they pulled up on Boa Hancock because Blackbeard wants her fruit. So
what the fuck do you need the stones, dog?
this brings so many questions because A, Hancock said the fruit only works if the people are already attracted to it. I guarantee you 99% of the verse is not attracted to Blackbeard.
I promise
So
you. He got a bad bitch on his ship somewhere. Where is she?
So whatever he wants to use the fruit for, it's not for looks. So you do that with what you will.
Yeah, he either A got a bad bitch on the ship, or B,
But
the fruit got a second power.
This he pulled up at the same time the Navy was trying to confront Hancock. So Kobe was here, but during this time after Blackbeard showed up, Rayleigh was like, I don't really like the idea of you getting Hancock's fruit, so he pulled up and he intervened.
Not having that.
Yeah, Blackbeard, on name alone, was like, I don't really want to fuck with Rayleigh right now. So he snatched up.
I love Blackbeard. The most tactical retreats, bro. He's like that.
Yeah, anytime things, anything, but he's smart. Anytime things start to look even a little bit unfavorable, he's like, let's go. But this is the thing where it makes me think this man grabbed Kobe and dipped. So this already puts a target on this man. I'm telling you right now, as we speak, he is next.
If you think he gonna be the last big bad, nah, he's definitely next.
Yeah, if you think they're saving him to the end of the show, you're wrong. This man just kidnapped Kobe.
He's super next. That makes him next.
The moment that Luffy finds out about this, he's gonna make a beeline for fucking Blackbeard.
Beeline, bro. He gonna be halfway to the next island.
Literally.
Straight, bro. I swear. There's no getting out of this one.
With that being said, the last major thing we have to talk about now is where we are currently, and that is Vegapunk.
I love me some Vegapunk.
We have finally met the great Professor Vegapunk.
Oh my god. Modeled after Einstein.
His character is modeled after Einstein, which shows you how crazy it is. The thing is, he has like the brain fruit.
Yep.
So literally any knowledge he gets, it stays in his brain, but his brain just increases in size with every new information he gets. So the island that they're on is literally his brain just covered. A holding place for his brain. It's so fucking massive. So this man is so smart, and he has so much to do with all the government tasks and all of his own agenda, that he has split himself into 6 different personalities.
One of which, haven't even seen the bitch colored yet, but I can tell she's gonna be really hot.
One of which is a female, but and all 6 of these are directly connected to the brain. Anytime that they discover new information, that is automatically put right back into the brain, so he adds even more knowledge to his already
insane brain.
Yeah. So, and
we also just found out that there's a giant robot that this nigga haven't even figured out himself on the island from 800 years
That's ago, what we're getting now. And
I'm like, oh god, the people.
This is where we're getting things. This is the arc where we're about to get a whole lot of missing information. I feel like, because Vegapunk knows so many things that we do not know.
Yeah.
So
and he's literally just explaining it to them right now.
Yeah, he's just scratching the surface. Like, we're just now learning about Kuma, for example. On the way to Vegapunk's island, they picked up Jewelry Bonnie,
who is Kuma's goddamn
Find out she is Bartholomew Kuma's daughter. So directly related, literally daughter of Kuma. She goes to Vegapunk, obviously pissed that he turned him into a robot.
Furious.
Pacifista. But with that being said, it is clear that Kuma did not entirely lose who he was, as he protected the Sunny for 2 years. He saved them from Kizaru on the archipelagos.
Yeah, but we already figured out some of those were pre-orders that he gave himself so he wouldn't lose himself.
True. That's true, but the
fact that he had the foresight to do that.
The fact that he had the foresight to do that was very, very smart.
I can see that.
Plus, now the speculation in the air, we don't actually know where Kuma is now.
Yeah.
With the whole Sabo incident, so now we don't really know what's going on.
True.
So that's in the dark. Vegapunk has already given us a lot of answers. So he has, again, given us the information about fucking Kuma. And he has now introduced this giant robot that he has sitting in his corner.
That he can't even
because he has told them now even he cannot explain how to make the robot work. And they say, but you're the smartest person. Didn't you build that? He said, no, this robot has been here since the blank century.
Yep.
Meaning that the people from the blank century
Had massive
were
technology.
even more civilized and advanced than what they are currently almost 1,000 years later.
Insane.
Which just shows you how incredibly intelligent the people from the blank century were, which feeds more into another theory that I've seen going around about them turning themselves into devil fruits. But
Yeah,
that's a whole nother thing in its own.
that's it. It really just goes to show you where we are right now, that the government in this show, and we've been saying this,
It's hiding so much shit.
So shady. Bro.
Yeah, they're hiding so much shit. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
and
literally, they got their hands in every goddamn thing.
For example, we're talking. The whole world believes there's an empty throne that has a man sitting on it.
In a place that literally doesn't exist. Yeah,
they're talking about a throne. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Everybody's like, yeah, there's an empty throne. No, there's a fucking man sitting on it, and you guys just don't know it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is one of the things that really stuck out to me was when those elders bowed to that man in that fucking chair, and I'm like, yeah. So everybody is taking their order. This really is a fucking dictatorship, basically. One man rules it all. Now we understand why the moral compass is so fucking skewed in this show, because it really is on one man who is apparently living on 1,000-year-old ideology.
Living his best goddamn life.
Living his best goddamn life.
Nigga, I'm not gonna fuck about nobody else, bro.
The last information that was revealed to us most recently was some very heartfelt news. We have recently discovered more information about the island Ohara. We have discovered that both Vegapunk and Dragon had a very strong connection to the island, as we finally got to see a little bit of Dragon's backstory as he arrived on the island shortly after the. So we finally got to see a little bit of Dragon's backstory here when we get to see Vegapunk and Dragon go back to Ohara shortly after the big accident. We discovered that they had a very, obviously they had a very strong connection to Ohara and all the stuff that happened there. But we learned that all they saved as many books as they could before everybody was killed by throwing them into the water. So I can't really think of the name for them right now. Archaeologists.
Yeah.
The archaeologists just fucking chucked all the books into the water, saved as many as they could. Now Vegapunk has them memorized. He went through and collected them all,
which was a really nice moment in and of itself. That was beautiful.
Yeah, I really liked seeing Dragon show some kind of emotion there for the first time, really ever. So it was cool to see a little bit of in depth on his character. But one of the most heart wrenching things that we learned was that our boy Saul is still alive.
Yes.
And we know that's going to be a very, very heart touching reunion when he finally meets Robin again. And that's going to be coming soon, I'm sure. I know our next big destination will be Elbaf. It really depends on how these events play out. Are we going to go to Elbaf first, or is Luffy going to catch wind about this whole Kobe and Blackbeard situation, and he might have to take a short detour,
a little bit of a detour
before they get to Elbaf? But Elbaf is definitely the next big thing,
big destination.
But keep going. Some things Vegapunk is now explaining things to us a little bit, which is nice. We're learning about this robot he's got in the corner. That now we're learning a little bit more about that. We learned that there's energy all around them that Vegapunk is trying to harness, and he believes that is going to be the key of him learning about whatever made this robot function. Because apparently that's what devil fruits are. Devil fruits are. Well, he hasn't confirmed this per se, but strongly hinted in this chapter now that these devil fruits were created by people. I can almost guarantee you that was the case. This chapter very much hinted at that, because he even so CP0 has now invaded Island of Eggshell. Rob Lucci is squaring up with Luffy once again. Lucci's like, is that Straw Hat? Luffy turns around and is like, Pigeon Guy? And you already know it's instant hands whenever they see each other, which was funny because CP0 is like, Lucci, you can't fight him yet. You got to get clearance from the Navy. They're calling up the Navy, and Aki Inu's on the other line. He's pissed. He's like,
of course,
this means war. Like, this is an Emperor of the Sea. Like, this means war's on our hands. I wish somebody would have fucking said something to me first.
Luffy just be popping up on
But we're seeing Lucci, who has now awakened his devil fruit. he is scrapping with fifth gear Luffy. And Vegapunk's in the background. He's like, what power is this? This is amazing. He's like, oh yeah, this is the Gum Gum fruit. He's like, there is no such thing as a Gum Gum fruit. He's like, but what do you mean there's no such thing? He does Gum Gum this and Gum Gum that. And you're like, it's a Gum Gum fruit. He's like, no, 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 no. There's never been a Gum Gum fruit. He's like, that right there, that's Nika the Sun God. And now they with all the hints of this energy that's around them, Vegapunk is dropping. Vegapunk is now requested to join the crew, and so just he needs to get away from this island, and he still has so many things that he needs to learn. It's from what it seems to me, even he is not 100% sure on what devil fruits are. He has just been explained. He kind of explained though that they are just will and power. So it's going to be very difficult to actually pull the explanation out of this. We'll have to reread the chapter again for sure. It has been. We'll have to see how this goes from here because we're only going to get more information. I'm sure as this fight with Lucci and Luffy continues. To say Rob, I guess this is part 2 or 3. I'm assuming Vegapunk will be explaining these awakened abilities, especially Luffy is not or Lucci, sorry, awaken a Zoan type fruit, so we'll obviously have to see where this goes because him and his leopard fruit or whatever. So he's awakened his fruit, so we'll have to see where that takes us. And now hopefully Vegapunk will be able to give us an explanation on Luffy's fruit a little bit more. But we'll just have to wait and see. It's all speculation at this point. I think we are going to start seeing, because clearly people can fight Luffy in fifth gear. So clearly we're going to start seeing some fights here that can probably make the scaling to fifth gear a little bit more
realistic,
feasible. Yeah, we'll be able to see a little bit more things that we get scaled to. Hopefully, this fight will help that. So
that'll be really good.
But for now, I mean that's everything. Overall, I think this Vegapunk arc is setting up to be very, very good. I'm interested to see Lucci versus Luffy part 3, whatever.
I really love this Vegapunk arc, and it's setting up to be a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, and they're definitely setting. It definitely seems like they're going to use this to set up whatever we have left here. They're going to set up Elbaf, which obviously is going to lead to a lot of stuff. They've already set up Blackbeard. Obviously, Blackbeard was put a target on his back by kidnapping Kobe, so that's going to be our next main villain plot point. And now with Rob Lucci attacking Luffy, this is also going to set Luffy or the Straw Hat Pirate fleet versus the Navy. So eventually this conflict starts now. I'm assuming this conflict will probably run all the way to the end of the series. As we just mentioned not too long ago, we're still going to have to deal with whoever this guy is sitting on the throne at the top of the Navy. So that's obviously probably going to be the final, whoever he is probably going to be the final piece. I think because Blackbeard's definitely next. This man put a target on his back. But obviously, no whole Navy conflict will probably just be happening in the background. I mean, let's be honest. The Navy's always been after him. It's just now things are probably just going to be on a higher scale there. Literally, Luffy's going to have to start bringing in his fleet. Because obviously, now the Navy's going to think it's all-out war. So his fleet's going to start getting attacked by the Navy.
Yeah.
It's going to start
into a big... They're going to pull a fucking Buster Call on them immediately.
Yeah, they're going to... Obviously, this is about to turn into a...
Fleet admirals.
And, Luffy and Aka Inu have a history already. So, at some point during this, they're going to have to scrap it out.
Definitely.
But I'm thinking that him versus Aka Inu will probably be after Blackbeard. I'm going to assume.
I don't know. We're going to have to see. If you made it this far, thank you very much, and have a good one.
Keep an eye out. We'll be watching.